The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
What is up, everybody? My name is Hector, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the Belly Up Sports Media Network. You can find us on all things podcasting, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast fix from. You will find us there. Search us up at Insert Name FC. And, of course, check us out on social media on Instagram, the X, Facebook, and YouTube at Insert Name FC. The full video version of this podcast is available on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, as well as at Goals TV, GOZ.TV. That is how you can find us, the full video version of this podcast. Now, we do also have short video versions of this podcast. We break down these topics. Into more digestible videos. So you can also find that at our Internet FC's YouTube channel. So there is that option as well. And yeah, so this episode, Edward is back. So obviously haven't had Edward on here for a while because obviously I went to a wedding. And that was when he would have been on. But Edward is on. We're going to talk about the U.S. men's national team call-up for the Nations League semifinal and final, hopefully. We also look at the Champions League round of 16, share our thoughts on the matches there, and also give you guys some predictions for the quarterfinals as well, the quarterfinal matchups. So you guys know what's going on there. Obviously, MLS Onside, we're still doing that. Episode 4, this episode is a very interesting episode. So Jose Tejas from Goals TV will be there to talk about episode 4 of MLS Onside. And yeah, then we have Players of the Week. Give you guys some games to look forward to, which is obviously international break kicks off this weekend. So yeah, there's that. So international break, and we'll wrap the show up in a pretty little bow for you. So with all that being said, man, sit back, relax, and we're going to talk about the U.S. men's national team with U.S. men's national team and Champions League talk with Edward Robles. Yep, that's right. My co-host is back for this one. So relax and enjoy this episode. Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. All right, guys. Obviously, it's me, and as you can tell by my side is a picture of Timo Werner, still with Tottenham. Didn't go to Red Bull New York, so that didn't happen.
Yeah, right. That was
So I'm
a non-dramatic kind of move.
so it's very safe to say that Edward is gonna still have Timo Werner as his
Oh
avatar.
man,
So
I'm never gonna wear that down.
yeah, like I mean, obviously if you guys aren't fully aware, very super early days of not even Instagram FC. It was actually back when we were still with Unhinged
Ooh.
Sports Network.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
We
that's been a
created
minute.
which consisted of me, Kelsey, and Edward. Wow, talk about how far back we go with Kelsey.
Yeah.
We had a I guess like a Champions League specific show for the network and called Unhinged FC. Obviously, I was the one that brought up that name, but Edward. This was like prime Edward having twin boys, prime
Yep.
Edward, not getting very much him time. So
Yeah. This was when I was basically focused on the boys, work. I didn't basically. I think at that point I wasn't even playing soccer anymore.
yeah, so essentially, we're covering this was Timo Werner back when he was with Chelsea, and this is also the year that Chelsea won the Champions League, by the way.
Damn, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it feels Thomas Tuchel was the coach.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow!
Wow.
Now he's
See, now
England's
it hits.
coach.
Now it hits. Now it
Wow,
hits.
it's only been like what 3 years? 3 years? Yeah, it was
Dude,
2021.
that's a while. That's a while
Jesus
back.
hell! All right, well, anyways, now that we aged ourselves, aged this podcast now, I guess. But yeah, so Edward, he was just half asleep. He was talking. Edward was also really high on Timo Werner. I know. Me personally, I knew how many times he's done FIFA rebuilds, and Timo Werner was always featured in his rebuilds. So not even his rebuilds, even when he did like a career mode with Barcelona, where he just like
Yeah.
makes Barcelona a powerhouse. Timo Werner was definitely one of the guys that he would go and bring into his team because it fit to what he likes doing for Barcelona. So obviously he had some sort of admiration for Timo Werner. At
Yeah.
this point, Chelsea got Timo Werner, and I wouldn't say he was great. I mean, this was also like at this point, I think anybody could really make a fair argument that they could probably be the best player in Chelsea. Because I mean, even Havertz wasn't.
Yeah, Havertz wasn't producing at the time.
Yeah, like this was Havertz leaving from Bayer Leverkusen. I'm sure he wishes he could be at Bayer Leverkusen right now. But yeah, so like yeah, you had Havertz who was like, he had his moments. Mason Mount, that was a name. I
Oh
remember.
yeah.
Christian Pulisic, was fighting for a spot on the team. And yeah, the team was just ever changing. And so, anyways, everyone was talking about we were previewing their matchup with FC Porto, and Eric was still very high on Timo Werner, and he said that you guys don't know he could score 5 goals
Against Porto.
in this
Yeah.
2-leg series with Porto, and then Edwards for the first leg of FC Porto versus Chelsea predicted I think it was like a 0-0. A
I want
nil
to say it was.
nil.
I think it was a 2-0, and then I think the next one was going to be 3-0, all by
A two
Timo
nil
Werner,
Porto performance I think is what you had.
or I think a 2-1. It was something along
Yeah.
those lines.
Anyways, so everyone was basically predicting that not many goal scoring was going to happen for Chelsea regardless, and so we made the joke about how Timo Werner is going to score 5 goals in the second leg, and so that's kind of how Edward basically got married to the Timo Werner.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's why you see Timo Werner with the. Yeah, that's my picture. Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to live that down until something happens.
that or you finally have a camera. So
That
that's who.
or well, knowing me, I'll probably keep running on with the joke, and I'll have like a green screen behind me, and I'll have Timo Werner's picture in the back.
I think that should be like something like if we hit like a certain like an epic milestone, like if we get like 1 million subscribers on YouTube, like that would be the day when Edward does the face reveal. Even
Oh
though
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that we featured your face at some point, like
yeah,
through memes and actually, yeah, definitely through memes because I
yeah.
think
Through memes,
yeah, because I remember what was it when we
we
officially
had to
announced you
we did
as a
the
fan of Inter
yeah.
Miami,
Oh yeah.
even though that
I mean,
definitely did not happen.
well, I mean, to be fair, I would have gone to the Miami Dynamo games, but even
Would
in
you have cried?
oh, the thing is, I was even thinking about it, like about going,
No,
because a bunch of
the pissed off people that didn't that were mad that they came to the game even though Messi wasn't there. They were like,
yep.
this grown ass man was like, yeah, I was gonna, I started crying. I was like, wait, what?
Okay, see, no, I wouldn't go
I
that
get like
far.
what like I said like last
I was,
episode. I get if a child was crying, like if Iker and Mateo were just like
oh,
bursting into
bro, oh,
were like complete
don't even get me started with that, because remember how we went to go see
Tigres, the Tigres.
the Tigres Miami game, and we were like thinking Messi was gonna be there,
Well,
bro.
initially, but then obviously Messi got hurt in Copa America, and that kind of ruined
Yeah.
things. But
Okay, so let me put it this way. Iker and Mateo, to this day, they say that that was a very boring experience because they said that it wasn't what they were expecting to see, that they weren't playing like the way they were expecting Messi to play.
dang, these
And
kids are
I'm over here,
critics.
oh, bro, trust me. I'm telling you, bro. Because
We had fun at that game.
oh, we have fun, but that's the thing. Remember how they were like, "Daddy, is it time to go yet? Daddy, can we go now,
Yeah,
Daddy?" So they were basically wanting to see somebody start chopping people up, and it didn't happen. Nobody did. Everybody was just Tigres just took that game. Basically, Tigres just took that game. Um,
yeah, because I think what the Miami goal was a Leo Campana, who now plays for the New England Revolution, a Leo Campana penalty. I
yeah,
think it was a penalty kick that they scored, and then yeah, then after that, Tigres. I mean, I had more fun because one the Tigres
it-
crowd showed up like big time. That little supporter section that they had there, that was the
yeah,
vibes. I was like, man, we should sneak in over there. Um,
yeah,
I probably could honestly, Felix would have been down if we did that, but
yeah.
any especially because he is actually technically from Monterrey,
Oh,
so
okay, that would have made sense.
family lineage wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah. So, anyways, that's interesting. That whole messy
Yeah,
debacle.
no, that's the thing. It's like I was upset, but I wasn't really upset about me. It was more of like the boys. The boys wanted to see Messi. He didn't show. We were even thinking like maybe he's gonna just show up, to the middle of the field, and he's gonna be in the stands, and they were gonna pan shots of him like while the game was going on here and there, so you could hear the crowd roar because that's what a lot of people they went for that. And
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing for the Dynamo game. A lot of people. They went for Messi. There was people, dude, it was so crazy. There was people that actually traveled to
that
go
was
see
probably the
Messi play.
fullest. That was probably the fullest I've seen Shell Energy Stadium or
Yeah,
BBVA Compass. They rebranded that stadium way too many times at this point.
yeah,
But PNC Stadium, yeah, they rebranded it way too much. But anyways, no, yeah, like I mean, luckily I had to go to a wedding, but obviously I had to rewatch the highlights, and that was not fun. Because it was more highlights for Miami because obviously it was a 4-1 shellacking.
yeah,
I think it was 4-1. I lost track. I mean, at that point, this Dynamo team has made me fully depressed. I think we're back to the dark ages again.
Oh
Uh,
man,
Ache
you
very
want
much
I was about
carried the
to
team.
I was about to say you want to give Hacha a call? I
Oh,
was
bro,
like,
I wish he still had his Houston number.
right?
I
It's like, hey,
think
we met, hey,
maybe I should message him on Instagram. Hey,
man, you know
hermano.
what? You know what? No, you know what? Like I was about to make a joke, like I guess you could say our age. I was gonna say, hey, you should go to the gas station and get one of those calling cards, like the international ones, the
The
yes card,
yes
that yes
card.
card.
Oh man.
Yes, and see if
Why?
you can get his number from over there.
I mean, we follow each other on Instagram, so that'd probably be the move. But anyways, um, anyways, or yeah, it's yeah, yeah. It's rough, especially now having to watch what was it, 2-1 loss to Real Salt. The Dynamo have started the season with 3 losses and a draw, and yet has yet to won a home game. So
Did you say yet to won a home game?
yet to have won a home game. They played 3 home games
Okay.
and lost all 3. And they drew on the road, which felt good because it was like it's the Columbus Crew, one of the better teams in the MLS, and then you go back and pull that god awful. Yeah, I don't know. I know it's early. I know it's early in the season, but the Coldplay meme has been dropped already. That's all I gotta say. So we'll see how that all goes. But anyways, let's not talk about my depressing ass Houston Dynamo team, and then also your children's uh
Uh,
crushed experiences back to back. Even though
yeah.
you guys didn't go to that Miami game. But
Well, no, we didn't go. But I was actually telling them, and they're like, "No, I don't want to go." And I was like, "Why?" They're like, "Cause Messi's not gonna be there, and we're just gonna sit there, dude.
they
If it
already
was,
know
look,
he wasn't gonna be there.
let me look, and then let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna let you know. I I know my kids, so they would have wanted instead. They would have wanted to go into the field and play and just kick around the ball than for them to actually sit and watch Inter Miami and Houston Dynamo. Like they would
Yeah,
have just
I
preferred.
honestly think kids. I don't know of many kids that just want to sit and watch a whole game, like just in general. Like it does, like regardless of the sport. I don't think that they're like necessarily want to sit, and I think that's why like certain like the Houston Rockets, for instance, like they have a little kid place area.
Yeah,
Because they know kids aren't just gonna sit there and watch a whole basketball game. So
yeah,
like they need to build some sort of thing where kids can go and play. So and I think also like in the White Sox they have like a little play area like whole like slides and all that. So I mean like literally they're like, yeah, we know you guys don't have like a great short, you guys don't have a great attention span. So I mean like no offense, but yeah
none
I think
taken.
it's tricky, right? Like for kids, like I think like taking into a game, it's like I don't even know how it is when if you ever took it into a movie. Like
Oh
I'm
no, they saw the Sonic 3 movie. They were fine.
okay.
It's
Then I
because
get
it's something they like, you know. Like I said, if it was Messi being there, they would have been so excited. They would have actually, paid all attention in the world. But since Messi wasn't there, they were like, "Oh, who's that?" They remember, think about it. They saw Jordi Alba. They were like, "Look, it's Messi," and it wasn't Messi. And then they were like, "Oh no, he's not Messi." They're like, "Oh, look, it's Messi." And any bearded guy, they were like, "Oh, look, it's Messi." And then, no, no, it's not Messi. And then they would be like, "Oh man," they're like, "No," they were just upset. They really wanted to see Messi play. And I was like, ah, I was like, but like I said, it's not the first time Messi has done that where he's like, I'm not gonna go to Houston. So
yeah. This is now the second time where he's like, I'm not coming to Houston.
yeah.
So maybe that streak's gonna be a thing. But anyways, obviously we're not here to talk about MLS or even Messi. Uh, because the two topics that we will be talking about literally has nothing to do with Messi, unless Messi decides to get U.S. citizenship and wants to join the U.S. men's national team. Doubt that it will ever happen. Um,
Really doubt it.
we could try to recruit Thiago, but let's face it, his options right now is Spain and Argentina. That I don't know about
Yeah,
you, Edward,
right.
but if those were my options,
Yeah,
I don't think
right.
U.S. has a shot. but
Nope, they
um,
do
but
not.
But we do have the U.S. men's national team call-ups. Obviously, the international break is actually happening this weekend. So what is the U.S. men's national team playing for in this one? Because it is not Camp Cupcake. It is not a useless call-up that we call Camp Cupcake. This actually has meaningful matches involved. Being it is the Nations League semifinal and final, hopefully, depending on how they do in the semifinal matchup. Obviously, which March 20th is going to be Panama. So Panama in LA. Both matches will be in Los Angeles, and then obviously March 23rd, which will be Sunday, is the final, and hopefully that is featured the U.S. men's national team. And then on the other side, it's Canada versus Mexico. Um, and I don't know about you, Edward. I don't know if any of your friends that are Mexican national team supporters, but I know a lot of people that are genuinely pissed off at the Mexican national team call up. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so 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 Mexico's back. That's all I got. That's all I took from that one. Also, Canada, you have no excuse. That's all I gotta say. If you have Mexican fans that are just very much depressed when they see that call up, like you have zero excuse. Like you should be able to beat Mexico at this point. and it'll be
Yeah.
hilarious if they somehow don't beat Mexico at this point. So, and they want to be all like, I get Canada should be confident because you got Alfonso Davies and Jonathan David, but like at one point, like you guys have to win something, right? Like
Little something.
you can't be talking all this crap about the U.S. men's national team in Mexico, and like the only trophy that you had was in like 2000 in the Gold Cup. So I'm just saying, I'm
Yeah.
not to be rude or anything like that, but like you at least have to win something in order to talk some crap.
Yeah, right. And it has
But
to be something recent. It can't just be something from way back in the past, but like kind of like waking back in the past kind of stuff. Like, I mean, for example, you can't really be like, hey, you know what? Brazil squad is gonna be the ones to win the World Cup because of so and so. Now I'm like, bro, if you could go look at back at 2002's World Squad, like that Brazil's World Cup squad, that was a squad of fear, you
iconic,
know. Yes, I'm telling
iconic,
you.
influential
But
too, very influential.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you can't be comparing, like stuff that happened back in the past, and then you be like, okay, it's not like fine wine. It's not like, oh, you know what? It's gonna age very nicely. No, no, trust me. Soccer is the opposite. You got to get younger so you can actually keep up with the pace. You can't just be grabbing players from like, they don't have the pace to keep up with, and then be
Well,
like,
I
oh,
mean,
you,
it's also a Brazil team that's very revered. I mean, Cafu, one of the greatest right backs of all time.
yeah, man. I mean, I'm
Roberto Carlos, also argued to be one of the best left backs of all time. Um,
Bro, imagine having Cafu even playing from the right back position to the center back, and then putting Roberto Carlos on the right back position and putting Marcelo in the left back position, back with Marcelo's prime and Roberto Carlos prime. Dog, dog.
I would. Can imagine being a goalkeeper and seeing who's like taking the free kick is Roberto Carlos, Ronaldinho,
Oof.
and
Oh, Adriano. Whenever it
and
came to the direct shots, Adriano.
yeah,
Wow, dude, he had a freaking cannon too. He was like Roberto
and then
Carlos too. He was
and you
like
got and El Fenomeno is just like I could
El
also do
Fenomeno.
this.
He's like, I could do this. He's like, I just choose not to. I want to save my skills for the dribbling.
If you're Neymar, you're just like I'm not taking that free kick.
Yeah, you're just
I'm
like,
not in the conversation here.
I'm letting them do whatever they need to do. But yeah, bro, I mean, we're both in the same boat. Like we can't go back to the past and bring up something right now to this point. So, it's the
Yeah,
same way. It's the same way, like, it's just with the US. Same thing. It's like we can't just be like, oh, hey, our 2002 US World Cup squad, we made it all the way to the quarterfinals. Hey, yeah, we made
I
it,
feel like
but
also we've been writing off of that 2009 Confederations
yeah, I
upset
mean,
against Spain.
yeah, I know. We can't do that.
It's a great flex. It's just like it was
That's all it
2009.
is. It's all it is, though. It's like that the uncle, the one that's like, here you go, uncle. Like, here's a soccer ball. Look, can you do this? Like, yeah, I used to be able to do that back in the day. Right now, I can't do it no more. And it's like, so
The
so you can't do it.
the uncle that could have gone pro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. That makes sense.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, so the U.S. men's national team, obviously, this is Pochettino, and this is very much, obviously, we need to take every cup opportunity seriously. This is a cup that also the U.S. is the only team that has won it because this is the Nations League, so they're going for the four-peat. Um,
hmm
I don't know, man. I know some people still are kind of conflicted when it comes to Nations League, but it is at one point like if you're in a cup, if you're in an opportunity to win a cup, you want to win it, right? So regardless of how minuscule you'll feel the trophy could be. I mean, even though I crap on Super Cups, I mean, if you're in it, you might as well win the stupid thing. So, I mean, fair enough. But all right, so this is the 23-man roster that Pochettino has selected. For goalkeepers, we have Patrick Schulte of the Columbus Crew, Zach Steffen of Colorado Rapids, and Matt Turner of Crystal Palace. Some people were kind of, I would say, kind of conflicted on why they did not call up Diego Cochin, who obviously plays for the second team for FC Barcelona. A lot of people view him as, you know what, we gotta stop just claiming any guy as like the future. I mean, Gaga Sonina, that guy still exists somewhere. But I get it though. I mean, this kid literally is a Masaya product, so I get the why
Yeah.
people think that he will be a very good goalkeeper. And I mean, plus he's 18 years old. Um, is he playing for Barcelona? Not really. I mean, he's playing for the second team, which is obviously the next step for if you're a Barcelona player. But I don't know. I don't think it's like the worst thing to not call him up. I think, but I mean, if you're gonna bring in Zach Steffen or I mean, Patrick Schulte, I think is a good call up to have, just because I think he is the next guy lined up for to be the next goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team. At least the way he's been playing. Zach Steffen, I think at this point, I don't know if I think Pochettino just likes him. I think
Yeah.
the few times that I mean, he's called Zach Steffen off pretty frequently now. So I think obviously there's something that he does that he likes. But I don't know, what's Diego Coaching gonna do? I mean, he's obviously not gonna start. So like, what would you have that he's not gonna be the second choice keeper. He'd just be the third choice keeper. So like, I don't know. I mean, I get it. I get why you want Diego Coaching just to be amongst the players and all that. But like, it kind of sucks. You get called up and you don't play. If just in general, because goalkeepers, right? You have three goalkeepers on your roster and only one's gonna play.
Yeah. The only way to unless it's like the games are so close together and you see that your goalkeeper is a bit tired, you see like he has that fatigue, then you go ahead and put your second string. But other than that, it's like yeah, they won't get to see the third string, third choice, so he won't get to see any field time unless it's like first
Something
string
like
is
really
hurt.
bad just happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first string gets hurt, and then you also get the second string who's like I said, fatigued, also feeling hurt. That's the only way that I see it happening.
I mean, yeah, am I intrigued by Diego Coaching? Definitely, and I do want to probably see him more featured on in these U.S. men's national team call-ups. But like right now, you're still trying to find your guy. Diego Coaching is not going to be the guy anytime soon. Like I said, he's still very young. Whereas you need a guy for 2026. Matt Turner isn't playing as much as we've been hoping for, and obviously, till proven differently, it's still Matt Turner. But
Yeah,
Patrick Schulte, I think, is sneaking in to make a very strong case for himself. But till then, it's Matt Turner's job.
yeah, exactly. I
But
agree with you.
yeah. All right, so defenders, we have Cameron Carter-Vickers of Celtic. We got Marlon Fossey of Standard Liège over in Belgium. If you guys didn't know that that's what that team is. Mark McKenzie of Toulouse. Tim Ream from Charlotte FC for some odd reason. Not nothing against Tim Ream. I love the man. It's just that he's pretty old. He's he's, I think he's like
I
I think he's like 38.
I ain't
So
say it. I ain't say it.
the only reason I'm saying is like Tim Ream. Are we gonna see him in 2026? Probably not. That's my argument. Chris Richards of Crystal Palace, Anthony Robinson of Fulham, Joe Scally of Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Austin Trusty of Celtic. I don't think there's
Hmm.
anything really crazy about the defenders. I think you got the one is the defenders are finally healthy, so I think that's a good thing. Obviously, you're not going to see Sergino Dest because he just came back from injury.
Yeah,
So I mean, he has been playing for PSV now, but obviously, probably a little too soon to start bringing him up with the national team. But I mean, as soon as he comes back, that guy's going to be coming with a vengeance. So I think good group of players. It is interesting that you bring in three fullbacks technically, obviously with Marlon Fossey and uh, Joe Scally and Anthony Robinson being the only fullbacks that have been brought up, but obviously you can make the argument that uh, there's other guys on this team that can also play the fullback position. So maybe that's where Pochettino's thinking of. He's not maybe not too pressed on getting many fullbacks on this roster. Once again, you only get 23 guys that you can call up, so. I think that it's a good group of defenders. I don't think there's any guy that I'm really completely against. Like I'm fine for Tim Ream to be there just as like a leader, but I don't know. I think it's not that bad of a group of defenders.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
Though, like you said, I mean, me personally, you already know, I go with Dest, but he's just barely, like you said, he's barely coming back from injury, and yeah, so I'm good with whatever he has there, because
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, like you have what you have. But
Hmm.
all right, midfielders we got Tyler Adams from Bournemouth, who since come out of injury, he's looked like one of the better teams from better players for Bournemouth. So that's good for him. Johnny Cardoso, Rob Betis, who just came, as a matter of fact, came off of a big win against Leganes. It was actually a 3-2 comeback win. Diego Luna from Real Salt Lake, interesting an MLS player. a very good MLS player in my opinion. Weston McKennie of Juventus could be argued as one of the best players right now for Juventus. I don't know, or you can tell me if I'm wrong on that one.
Um, I think so. No, no, no. I think you're right.
This guy has just played everywhere on the field for Juventus besides goalkeeper.
Yeah,
At this point. Gio Reyna, which is an interesting name, not because I mean, obviously Gio Reyna, we know what he can do for the U.S. men's national team, but not much playing time for Gio Reyna since coming back from injury for Borussia Dortmund. So an interesting move, but I think also like if you're a U.S. men's national team supporter, you know what he does when he puts on that USA shirt. And Tanner Tessman of Olympic Lyon. So I think I think Malik Tillman is injured as well. I don't know how you feel about Malik Tillman specifically, Edward, but I know some people are kind of have mixed feelings about Malik Tillman. But and then yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really shocking about the midfield by any means. I think Tyler Adams is great to have him back. Johnny Cardoso. I think it just depends on what we see for the formation for Pochettino. But I mean, I think Pochettino likes the 4-2-3-1 formation.
yeah,
So I think he would like to have two sixes. And I mean, you're looking at Tyler Adams, Johnny Cardozo, Weston McKennie, and Tanner Tessman. You have four guys. I mean, Weston McKennie can also play the 8 and the 10, not damn near the whole field if you want to. But I mean, he definitely got the sixes. Diego Luna is a 10. You could argue that you could also put Christian Pulisic at that 10 spot as well. So, like, I think, I'm intrigued also just because once again we're finally going to see what Pochettino really does with his U.S. men's national team, which is crazy
yeah.
that I'm actually saying that sentence in my life. Uh, but yeah,
You're
Edward,
like, I never thought I'd say that.
I never thought I would ever, especially all the jokes you and me have made about Pochettino.
Oh God.
But like I've never,
I'm surprised we never even made a shirt. You know what I mean? Like with as many jokes as we have, as many jokes as you came up with, Pochettino, I'm surprised we don't have a shirt like Old Gunner. You know what I mean?
I kind of want to do one now. Believe, just like it has
Believe,
Pochettino's face and just says believe,
I mean, believe 2025.
believe, believe 2026.
Oh, oh, there you
Yeah. All right. Well, came up with a shirt idea just on this episode alone. Production.
go.
What was that thing that Daryl said on The Office? You got a life hack.
Life hack,
Life
life
hack.
hacking, life hacking.
But yeah, the midfield I think is pretty good. Uh, but yeah, and the forwards. All right. So obviously, if you guys don't know, Ricardo Pepi's out with injury. He's out for the season. Very heartbreaking. And Folarin Balogun also is still out with an injury. So there goes your two nines.
Yeah, right. Man.
Especially because Pepe was going on a tear, man. I think he was actually leading the Eredivisie in goals as well. So I'm like, well, that sucks. But so here are the forwards for the U.S. men's national team. We got Patrick Agyemang. You don't know how hard I'm trying not to say Agumon. Um, for those millennials out there, especially the ones that love Digimon. But yeah, Patrick Agyemang from Charlotte FC. We got Yunus Musa from AC Milan. Interesting that they listed him as a forward. Um, crazy, but not crazy really because I think Pochettino's first call up, Yunus Musa did play on the wing as well. Actually scored Mauricio Pochettino's first goal as coach as well for the U.S. men's national team. Christian Pulisic, AC Milan. Not shocking that
Not
he's here.
surprised. Yeah.
Josh Sargent of Norwich City, who has done fairly well this year with Norwich. Timothy Way of Juventus, another standout of Juventus. I think Edward can also vouch for that one.
Yep.
And Brian White of the Vancouver Whitecaps.
I haven't heard much from him, me personally, because I don't,
It's
I
a
don't.
Camp Cupcake guy. I'm just
Okay, okay,
Camp Cupcake guy.
okay.
So I think this is a fair question because Patrick Agyemang, also another guy that did have a standout in Camp Cupcake. I mean, if Ricardo Pepi is healthy, I mean Balogun and Pepi is here. Obviously these guys would not be on this roster.
Hmm.
So I know people are very mad about it. Okay, so before we talk about like the guys that we think are misses, Edward, any player right now that really intrigues you from this 23-man roster?
I mean, truthfully speaking, honestly, Josh Sargent, because I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, we haven't really heard him in a while since like when he was alongside, like when he was barely first starting out. Like you still had what you call it
Playing in the
shoot.
Bundesliga.
No, well, playing in the Bundesliga, but also like remember when he was playing with the U.S. men's national team? I mean,
He was
he was
always like
playing he
quiet.
was
Like,
he was quiet, but he was also under the like, I guess you could say under the wing of damn it, Josie Altidore,
oh
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
remember. So I mean, you had Josie, but then like I think he was like third pick after Josie.
Yeah, I think the
And
thing
then
is
so
with
whenever he would play, when he would play with the youngsters and everything, and then he would play, it was like he was fairly quiet. He wasn't scoring like hat tricks or like four goals or like
I think
producing that
I think
many
it's because like
assists.
Josh Sargent is very different from the typical mold that you think of for U.S. men's national team nines. Because
Yeah,
obviously, when you think of like Brian McBride, you think of Josie
Brian
Altidore,
Ching.
Brian Ching, just big dudes. You know,
Yeah, big dudes. Yeah, and then no, but the thing is also it's like I'm trying to see where he's at now. Like, so it would be interesting to see. Like, I guess you could say it's a little blast from the past, kind of.
I mean, he's been very important for Norwich this year. Obviously they're making a push to make it back to the Premier League. Haji Wright would have been another name. I think he was. I think he just got out of injury as well. I actually think he scored like a banger this past weekend as well. But yeah, I don't know. I think with Josh Sargent, obviously he's just performing. We're just hoping that he can finally. Maybe you just tell me he's wearing a Norwich kit. I think that's probably we just the U.S. men's national just needs to come out with like a yellow jersey and just tell Josh Sargent that he plays for Norwich. That this is the championship. It's not CONCACAF.
Oh
Almost this very,
man.
though I would argue probably very similar league because of how physical the championship is.
Yeah, that is it is. Especially when you play like with the older dudes, the dudes
Yeah,
that are like they basically probably playing
that older
Championship
dude that
2
has
league,
never seen the
Champion 2
Premier
league.
League his whole career.
Yeah. What's his name? You remember in a goal? The old defender, the old center back who would
Oh, the
basically
one
just
that
go
for
out to
some reason
hurt
decided to
each
break the
other.
inhaler.
Yeah. He was just being because there was a reason. I mean, even Gavin Harris or
They
was
never
it
played the same position. Like that was that. I think that's one of the dumbest plot lines though. Like to for him to like sabotage Santi when they didn't play the same position.
they didn't play the same position, but it was because the guy was young, he had talent. He ended up doing the little sombrerito on him. So then of course he was like mad about that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. I was like, I could see why he would be mad. Like young buck coming in here making you look bad.
I mean, to be fair, though, the whole plot of him hiding that he had asthma to the doctor, thinking that he would not be able
See,
to.
no. I mean, the thing is, you gotta think about it this way. I mean, did he ever tell his coach that he had like the coach back in the like that little
Oh, when
mom
he's
and
playing
pop league?
when he's playing in
Yeah, like
LA.
yeah. Did he ever tell him he had asthma? You know what I mean? Like it makes sense at that point. Because it's like you never know.
Also, I never see him use the inhaler when he was in LA.
He did, dude. It was the beginning of the movie. Like at the very beginning of the movie when he was playing. Like as soon as he sat
Oh,
down, he was,
yeah,
and
yeah. No,
yeah.
that's just a sign from God that I need to rewatch Goal. That's all I'm taking from that one. But yeah, no, I think Josh Sargent's a good interesting. I mean, he's got to be the starting nine. I don't know. No offense to Acumen and Brian White, but I just
You feel
Josh
like he has
Sargent.
a little bit more, not practice, but a little bit more wear and tear in the CONCACAF.
Also, to be fair, I think Acumen still hasn't scored a goal for Charlotte FC. And Brian White may. I mean, Vancouver has gone on a tear. And as a matter of fact, they upsetted Monterrey in the CONCACAF Champions Cup or Champions Cup League, whatever the hell they call it. Um, but I don't really know if I'm sure he scored some goals, but like Aguiman has yet to have scored a goal so far. In the once again, I know it's still early in the MLS, but you know what? Screw it. I'm depressed about the Dynamo. Let me be. Um, yeah, I think that's a good shout for player of interest. I think for me, I want to see what happens with Gio Reyna. I don't does he make the starting lineup? Obviously, he can play the 10 role.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, once again, yes, it sucks that he has been really playing for Borussia Dortmund. No offense ever, but he just needs to get out of Borussia Dortmund. Um, he
Well,
just needs
yeah.
to
I
go somewhere
mean,
where he plays. Nottingham Forest was a terrible loan because he didn't play at all.
yeah.
So He just needs to go somewhere that he's gonna. I guess similar to like
That
Christian
he's
Pulisic, he
gonna get
just
yeah,
needs
he's
to
gonna get
find his
burned.
AC Milan. He needs to find his AC Milan. Um, Maybe don't go to AC Milan though, because I don't think you fit there tactically.
Nah.
Maybe
No,
Juventus.
no. I feel like Gio Reyna would fit in the EPL. I feel like he would fit in the EPL. It's just right now the EPL is stacked at the
Yeah,
number
but I'm
10
like, yeah,
positions.
that's what I mean. Like, I I'd say La Liga.
Bro, I mean La Liga, you even
Go
have like
go to a
you
Real
have
Betis.
Rayo Vallecano, if
Go to a Real
anything, like
Sociedad.
Universidad Las Palmas, like stuff like that. Like even a small team with one big player, a small team can make a big difference.
Go to Cadiz. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, especially if he wants to work on his technical play, I think that would be a good move for
I
him.
feel I feel like ooh, you know what? Since I want to say they're like mid tier, I guess you could say they're like to me, the way that they are, they're like the secondary Real Madrid or the secondary Atletico Madrid, like Real
Oh, okay.
Sociedad.
Yeah,
Because
that's what
they got
I was gonna say. Real Sociedad. I'm not. I'm no. They don't have a strict rule. I know Bilbao has the strict where they only play players from
yeah, from Spain. They're like the Chivas
from
of
a
Spain.
specific. Well, it's a specific region of Spain. But yes, yes, you're right. Yeah, Chivas. I don't know how many videos I've seen of people of Chivas fans saying we need to stop just playing with Mexican players, or maybe just get good Mexican. I can't promise you that.
Well,
Uh,
that's the thing. It's like, dude, I was like, you got everybody else
you
going
brought
to
back
South
Polito.
America.
You bring back Polito. You bring back
Oh
Chito.
God, yeah.
Yeah, but my player of interest is Gio Reyna. I think obviously if you're bringing him in with very little playtime, I'm expecting that you're gonna use him at some point. And like once again, if Pochettino does use the 4-2-3-1 formation, Gio Reyna fits perfectly for that 10 role.
Yeah.
And maybe he helps if Jar Sargent is that starting nine. I mean, you know, I think that there could be some good play between the two. So that's my interest. Is there a player in your from this that you feel like is a big miss that the U.S. didn't call up, that Pochettino didn't call up for this team?
Um, damn.
Or I can start. I'll start on this one if you
Well,
want.
no, because the thing is, well, for one, I can't really say Sergino Dest because he's just coming out of injury, so that's a perfectly good
Oh, okay.
reason for him to not bring him up, you know? Because honestly, I would if he was in good shape, he was good, he was still playing really well in the league, and then yeah, like I'd be like, yo, why not Sergino Dest? Why, why all these other
Yeah, I mean,
kids?
obviously, I think a fair shot would be Sergino Dest
Yeah,
if he wasn't
but
just fresh
yeah,
out of an
he
injury.
was just fresh out of injury. I mean, and for him to go start to competitive soccer like that again, it's like you gotta kind of have to start him off with like smaller teams here and there, maybe a couple friendlies. But right now, yeah, I mean, I'm on it. I'm on board with Pochettino, even though I would want to see Sergino Dest. That would be my miss. But like I said,
You get it.
not. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I think for me it would be I the way he's been playing right now for Club America, like how you not call up Alejandro Zendejas. I know he's kind of at this point a little bit of an afterthought, just because obviously Timothy Way and Christian Pulisic are on the wings.
Yeah.
But I mean, you literally you brought in Brian White and Patrick Aguiman. Maybe you're just hoping to bring another nine, which I would say fair argument. Timothy Weah could play the nine spot. Um, that's just me being a biased adopted parent. But look, I think Patrick Aguiman. If I had to choose between Patrick Aguiman and Brian, like who would I bring in versus Zendejas? I would probably, I'd probably not have Brian White. I'd probably bring in Alejandro Zendejas just because of what he brings on the wing, and then obviously that just makes you can do so much more different variations to this team because that. Now the reason why I'm gonna say keep Patrick Aguiman is because like kind of how I mentioned like earlier how we were talking about the U.S. soccer mold of nines,
Yeah.
big freaking dudes, right? This guy is like 6'4" and is fast as okay. Well, I'm not gonna say the word, but he's really fast. Like to quote the longest yard, he's so fast he makes fast people look not so fast.
There you go.
But I mean, and I think it's he had a good performance in the Camp Cupcake call ups. Obviously, scored some goals on that part. And once again, he's just a big dude. Can you imagine if maybe you tire off this Panama defense? Maybe you Josh Sargent, you take him out of the game, you bring in this behemoth of a young man, to like come in and like
I like
and
the fact that you're like the behemoth of a man, yo man.
like all you got then if you're Yunus Musa or you're Christian Pulisic or you're Weston McKennie, you just send one up top, and this kid is just he probably doesn't even have to jump, to be honest, and bags in a header. So like I do say at some point, I'm not trying to be like a heightist or anything like that, but sometimes you just need a big dude. So I'm fine with Patrick. Maybe he scores his first goal with the U.S., not in the MLS.
That's
Which I
true.
think technically he did score his first goals of the year with the U.S. men's national team. But yeah, I think that for me, just strategic wise, I think it makes sense to have a guy like Patrick Akerman on the roster.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I could see that with you. Like
But
I'm
I
on
just think
there.
you cannot not have Zendejas. The kid's doing really good right now for Club America, and Club America. I mean, if you guys haven't been watching, Liga MX are are unfairly good. So
They're unfairly good
and they
because they
just
have
beat the
an
crap out of
unfairly.
Chivas. Like that's like the craziest thing right now because I think not only did Chivas and America play like a Super Clásico, but they also had to play against each other for the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Like that was their pair up, and it was just not even close. Like Club America, like I think it's fair to say the third installment of El Super Clásico within the week. They could have literally just played their academy players because that was how ahead they were in the aggregate. Like
Damn.
it was bad. Yeah. So I don't know if that's more telling of just the class that Club America has at this point. And I hate that I have the glazed Club America like I am right now. Or it just Chivas is just so down bad right now. Like I don't know
Yeah.
which ones were. It could be both, honestly.
I
Could be
mean,
a
the thing is,
combination of both.
America. Oh, the thing is, like, America still has, like all that young talent, and they're still also poaching the good talent from other countries. And you got Chivas who are, like you said, bringing back Pulido, Chicharito, like, just not trying to say has-beens, but it's like guys who've already been at their prime, and if they're playing, it's like you expect them to play their heart and soul, but it's like you can't keep up with these kids, man. You can't keep up with these kids. You can't keep up with like defenders in their prime, So of course you ain't gonna score.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
because I think let me see. Let me pull up Zendeja stats. Um, okay, I guess it's not gonna do well to me. All right, yeah. So already like right now, just in the Clausura, I think he already has like nine goal contributions.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's the
Oh wait,
thing.
let me
It's
see.
like,
Okay, 10 in 9 appearances, 10 goal contributions, 5 goals
yeah,
and 5 assists. That's what he's doing right now in the Clausura. Like I mean, and someone's probably like that. That doesn't seem like a lot. In Liga MX, that is. So yeah, I think I just feel like the kid's performing. Like you need to call him. And I think he's not even a kid. He's like 27 years old, but he's younger than me. So yeah, I think he deserves at least a shout, man. Like I get it that he's probably not like your first pick as a starter, but I mean for depth, I mean, and once again, it just opens up more. At this point, when you're talking about like the starting 11 is the starting 11, but when you have those role players that you're coming off the bench, like you kind of want guys that you can like move them around on the field as well. So that's my argument. But anyways, hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast here to tell you guys about Canadips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canadip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BELLYUP20 at CanadipCBD.com. Once again, BELLYUP20 at CanadipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canadips for being a great partner of Belly Up Sports. Projected starting 11. I think Edward. I don't think you disagree with me. I think it's Matt Turner, right, as the number one.
Yeah, I would say Matt Turner as the number one. He's the one that's mostly well known. I mean, so yeah, I mean, Zach Steffen would be the second pick. Like you said, I agree with you on those.
Yeah, so Matt Turner for sure. Defenders, I think obviously it's going to be Anthony Robinson as the left back, Joe Scally being the right back, obviously because no Sergino Dest. But yeah, I think that's your fullbacks. I think center back pairing, in my opinion, should be Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie. Mark McKenzie has been doing really well with Toulouse right now over there in France. He's actually kind of one of their standout players. And Chris Richards, I think for what he brings to the table as far as his athleticism goes, I think is important. And I think since coming back from injury at Crystal Palace, he's done fairly well for them. Um, I mean, I can still see Cameron Carter Vickers. I think he's an absolute
That's
dog.
that's what I'm about to say. I was like, I think instead of
Richards
yeah,
or
instead of Richards, I was gonna say Cameron. Wait, no. Instead of yeah, instead of well, you know what? Now you got me thinking. I was gonna say instead of Mark McKenzie, I'd probably say Cameron Carter Vickers,
ooh,
maybe.
I wouldn't do that, but all right. I mean, I think right now Mark McKenzie is just I think he's right now the best informed center back. Even though yes, it is the French league. Uh, I can see Mark McKenzie and Cameron Carter Vickers. I'll bow to that.
Well, I mean, I think Cameron Carter Vickers would be one of the starting ones, and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
then then Mark McKenzie.
Yeah, okay. So Mark McKenzie. All right, I'm fine with that. Mark McKenzie and Cameron Carter Vickers as your starting center backs.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine with that one. Midfield. It if it is the dual sixes, I think it's got to be Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. I think Weston McKennie gets to push up a little bit, kind of be like a dual eight.
Yeah.
But I think Tyler. Honestly, man,
See,
I kind of want to bench Tyler Adams though. I kind of want to put Johnny Cardozo.
mm, I'm sticking with Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can see that. As much as I think Johnny Cardozo is going to be eventually one of the guys for the U.S. men's national team. Tyler Adams. I mean, he's still your captain. He's your leader.
And
Um,
then I would
and
feel like I feel like Gio Reyna would be like that, not false nine, center attacking mid.
yeah, I think Gio Reyna plays that 10 right there. Forwards. I mean, do we really have to like? There's no debate, right? It's Christian Pulisic on the left, Josh
Yep.
Sargent on the default 9, and then
Middle.
Timothy Way on the right.
Yep.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is. Pochettino, if you're listening to this,
I don't think there was much argument on that one.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that's honestly what we're going to be seeing. Once again, don't take Panama lightly. Obviously, we did take Panama lightly, and that cost us the Copa America. But full circle moment, it did get Pochettino fired. So not Pochettino, it got Berhalter fired.
I
So
was about to say, I was like, wait, what? Hold on. I was
we
like,
we
what do
wouldn't
you?
have had Pochettino if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, right.
So I think
Nah.
at least there's that. Um, but yeah, man. So yeah, once again, Panama is going to be the 20th, March 20th, Thursday. And then hopefully the final will be 23rd. So how confident are you right now in the US men's national team?
Uh, Pretty confident right now. Like, just want to see how they're gonna do, especially like just in the CONCACAF all alone.
The
Like,
fact that it's a competitive match, that's why I'm like gonna be more, I
more
guess,
into it.
observant. Yeah, exactly. But all right, this is what everyone wants to talk about, the Champions League. All right, so
Have
here's
to
what
do it.
happened in the round of 16. This is not in any particular order. It's just literally how I saw it when I was like looking up the scores. All right. The first one is 8th place Aston Villa beating 24th place Club Brugge 6-1 on aggregate. Uh yeah, I don't think that there was anything else to take from that. I think Aston Villa was also very strategic because I think they brought in Marco Asensio
Yeah,
on loan from PSG, which I think they're also already right now in discussion of trying to keep him at Aston Villa. But yeah, They needed Champions League experience. They got their Champions League experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, Aston Villa handled their business with Club Brugge. I don't think Club Brugge was ever in this conversation. I know they had the upset with who was it? Was it Juventus that they knocked out?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was that they knocked out Juventus. But yeah, they did knock out Juventus. So I mean, luck's not gonna always happen that way, right? So yeah, Aston Villa has actually been pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Just don't look at the Premier League. But or where are they in the Premier League? I
Premier League. I'm gonna check. I'm checking. EPL. They are in Yikes.
yeah. So don't look at them in the Premier League.
Yeah, they're no, they're mid-table, ninth place.
It's just funny because they actually finished eighth place in the league phase. So, all right, moving on. 10th place, Borussia Dortmund beats Lille. Seventh place, Lille 3-2. I really have nothing else to say about it. I think that Lille and Dortmund are pretty much on the same kind of on the same level. Where I could see Dortmund take it wasn't as to me it wasn't an upset. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean it was I guess you could say pretty hard fought battle for Borussia because even I was just like I was at the point where I was just like ooh, they're kind of cutting it close, a little bit. But even though like Lille was seventh place, so I mean Borussia Dortmund just barely like Ray Hudson would say, by the skin of their teeth, they made it out.
Yeah, I'm saying that they're at the same level of each other because Dortmund has been since sacking Sahin actually has gone a lot better. So that's kind of
Yeah,
at least is
yeah,
that though they did
that's kind of crazy.
though they did get beat by Leipzig today.
Yeah, yeah.
Third place Arsenal beat 14th place PSV 9-3. Wasn't even
Mm,
close. This
yeah.
I mean leg two was I knew leg two they did not put
It
they
was
didn't put
so
anybody on the
bad.
second they didn't put nobody on that second leg because I saw as soon as I saw Raheem Sterling on the lineup I was like yeah they're not
They're
really
not trying.
they don't need to do anything in this game.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah. All right,
No, I
Edward,
mean
do you want me to skip this one or and save it for last, or do you want to just go right now and talk about it?
I would say let's skip it because I don't know. I so that basically would give us the answer to the question. And like I said, I trust your judgment more than I trust.
Okay, we'll save that for the last one of the recaps. All right, second place Barcelona beat 16th place Benfica 4-1.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Barcelona, Lamine Yamal was putting on a show.
it was the Lamine Yamal show. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Barcelona. We'll talk more about Barcelona when we talk about the preview the quarterfinals, just because I think we have to give them a certain label at this point that
Yes.
I'm sure Edward doesn't really want to put that label on them, but under the certain circumstances, which we'll get to that circumstance, we'll get there. 14th place Inter Milan will beat 19th place Feyenoord 4-1, so Feyenoord could not get the other Milan team, which if you guys don't know, they did beat AC Milan um in the previous round. So Inter Milan also probably a good dark horse team, I think. Even though I know fourth place doesn't it probably you don't think of dark horse team when you think of fourth place, but yeah, man, Inter Milan. I don't think they. I think whoever has them should be kind of afraid.
Yeah, I mean they they've been kicking ass. I mean that's the thing. It's like I don't know.
They're good.
Uh, is Lautaro playing still, or is he
Yep.
injured? Okay,
Yeah, I believe Lautaro was playing. Is he injured?
I don't know. I thought that's what I thought. I was like, is he still in injury? But if he's playing, I mean, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, he's playing. He's as a matter of fact, he's playing right now against Atalanta. So, so yeah, very much healthy. All
Mhm.
right. 15th place PSG defeats first place Liverpool in penalties.
That was the game where I was just like, ain't no way. Like that was my thing. That was like, ain't no way. I was
Had to
like,
be
but
downright the worst penalty performance by Liverpool.
hmm yep.
That was bad. Yeah. But Kelsey, you have the Carabao Cup final. Oof. You don't have that either because you got beat by the two.
Why are you bashing on Kelsey right
Because
now? He
Kelsey
can't def
bashed me on his show. I listened. I listened to High Low Sports.
I was about to say, I was like, well, still, I was like, come on, I'm trying to defend Kelsey, but if you shot the first shot, Kelsey can't do nothing. You
I
know
don't know.
what?
I
I'm not
could be
gonna.
delusional too at the same time.
Ah,
The Houston Dynamo suck. That's my excuse. Okay.
damn. Okay.
And 12 plays Bayern Munich beat 6 plays Bayer Leverkusen 5-0.
Which they had already beaten them in the actual regular season, right?
No, they have not. I don't think they have. I think they've drawn in the Bundesliga, I think. They're
Mm.
just Bayern Munich is just built for Champions League. Weirdly enough. But all right, we'll talk about the last matchup because there's a lot of controversy behind this one. Real Madrid, 11th place Real Madrid beats 5th place Atletico Madrid 2-2 and went to pens 4-2 penalties. Obviously the controversy behind this one is Julian Alvarez went up for his penalty kick. He slipped. He made the goal. He weirdly enough made the goal. Obviously had.
I was
We'll get to the
barely made it.
we'll
It
get to the
barely made it
controversy.
in.
We'll get to the controversy, but we just with just within the context of him slipping and still managing to score his pen, probably would be argued as like a pretty impressive athletic feat. Um, for the penalty in general. Then you saw the Real Madrid players kept pointing, saying two, which I was also very much confused during that. And they decided to review it, and it was shown that at least from what the VAR was saying, that there was a double touch on the penalty. And if you guys don't know, if there's a double touch on the penalty kick, it is immediately did not count as a known goal. There is no retake, which I think is weird because if you're gonna make goalkeepers do a retake when they step off their line, I feel like that a retake should be also the next move.
Yep.
So it was weird. Um, and then it just became a series of just rewatch, of trying to find as many videos as you can of the ball moving a slight centimeter. I feel like it's literally what it went down to. Went down to a centimeter. Um, so I rewatched the PK, and
I told Hector I trust
it
his
depends,
view.
dude. The angles are so weird, man. Like, so obviously the best angle is obviously the front angle,
Yeah.
and you can see the foot like underneath not underneath the ball, but obviously like when I say underneath the ball, you know what I mean. But kind of like right there below the ball, and I don't see the movement.
Neither do. That's what I'm saying. Somebody actually used AI to move the ball. Like somebody
I
actually said,
saw that video clip and I was like,
"Look,
okay,
look."
I
They were
feel
like,
like we're not
"Look,"
seeing the same
and then I was
thing.
like, and I was like, "There's no way the ball that moved that much." I was like, because that was more than a centimeter. That was way more than a centimeter.
Even on the shot itself, like you didn't see any
Yeah,
change
you
of
didn't see
movement.
any movement. The only thing is he slipped. That's all I saw is like, he slipped, and when he tried to slice the ball, he sliced through it. But as he was slicing through it, he hit it not even down the middle. It was like right under it, so that's why it went up. I'm surprised. Well, the thing is, let me tell you something, and I'm saying this with full confidence. Courtois, if he would have stayed down the middle, he would have stopped that shot. He would have 100%. He would
I
have stopped
mean,
that
it
shot.
literally hit the
But
it hit
he
the it hit the crossbar. Like it
yeah,
literally hit the
it went
crossbar.
no, it went far up into the crossbar, and it was like, okay. At first, I was like, no, I was like, he sliced the shit out of that shot. Sorry, excuse me. He sliced the crap out of that shot. But then I was like, okay. Oh, and I saw the repeat, and I saw how it hit like the top of the net, and I was like, okay, so it was a goal. I was like, all right. But and I'm saying in full disclosure, full confidence. Courtois, if he would have stayed down the middle, he literally would have just raised his hands up. He would have stopped the shot. That's it. That's it. And
Yeah,
I'm
but he
saying it.
did. He didn't. He
No, he
dove.
he he dove. He dove because that's exactly what it would. But
Well,
and
also
this is
I
what.
think maybe when he did, because if you guys don't know, goalkeepers they have like a little guys, I guess like a cheat sheet on their water bottles that tells like the direction of like where statistically where everyone take aims for their PKs. And
Yeah,
obviously he slipped, so the ball was gonna go not in the direction that maybe he intended on going.
yeah,
But yeah, I didn't see a double touch. I think, and even if they were to double touch it, I think the rule should be changed. Not that the rule should be changed to where it's a retake. Like if we're gonna do a retake for goalkeepers stepping off their line, then I think we should be doing the same thing for that. Even though that didn't happen in my opinion, I think it should have been a goal for Julian Alvarez. Um, but obviously, like some people are like, oh, Atletico would have won. No, well, because Llorente then missed his penalty. So I mean, it would have at least been a
yeah.
tie, and then Rudiger
Then it would have
scores.
been sudden death. It would have been sudden death.
Well, Rudiger would have made his, and
Well,
I
no,
can't,
the thing is,
I don't know who would have been the fifth penalty kick taker
no,
for
that's what I'm saying.
Atletico,
That's what I'm saying.
because the fifth
The
penalty kick taker
Rudiger,
for Real Madrid was Rudiger. Um, because I'm trying to think. Okay, who was the first one? It was Sorloth, right?
Sorloth,
Sorloth took the first
dude, he
pen.
shot that thing as a rocket. Dear
And then
God,
obviously then Julian Alvarez. Who was after
Julian
Julian?
Grizzly was out, so I know that much. The one after Julian Alvarez was, let me see. I'm gonna have to look at. I'm gonna have to go back and look. But I remember. Like that's the thing. It's like I do remember Champions League.
This is great podcasting, by the way.
Wasn't it? No, wasn't it Correa?
Timeline. Hmm?
Wasn't it Correa? Correa? No. Let me see.
Was it Correa?
That's what I'm trying to see.
Okay, wait. I'm pulling up the pens. I scrolled way too far.
Same.
Great podcasting, by the way.
It's great podcasting.
Great podcasting when we're just looking through our phones and Googling.
Yeah, right.
Dude, this Google, you guys need to learn how to do a freaking stat sheet. This
Yeah.
is bananas. Okay, I gotta go to ESPN now. Thanks a lot. I don't think it's statistics. Is it statistics? No, it's not. Wow, both these people suck. Okay, here we are. Oh no, it was first Sorloth, then it was Correa. Julian Alvarez
Yeah, so I know
was the
Correa.
third penalty take. He was the third taker, and then Marco Llorente obviously he missed. So yeah, which obviously Lucas Vasquez, stupid idiot. Probably don't know why he took the penalty. But
Dude, I was like, what the hell?
I would have trusted
I was,
Endrick more than I would have trusted Lucas Vasquez.
but Hendrick wasn't even in the game.
Yeah,
But
he
look,
was.
I'm gonna tell you something. No, let me
No,
tell you
Endrick
something.
was in the
No,
game.
no,
He
no.
was subbed in
Oh,
for
oh, he was
Vinicius.
subbed in? Okay. Well, no, here's the thing. You may be calling Lucas Vasquez like, oh, what a dumbass, this and that, the other. If it wasn't for Lucas Vasquez, the ref would not have checked with the VAR because Lucas Vasquez was the one saying two, two.
No,
He kept saying,
also, well, to be fair, Jude Bellingham was also saying too.
yeah,
But obviously, at
bastards.
that time, Lucas Vasquez was the captain.
I
So
know, I know. Spence must be like, yo, what the hell? No, that was not in.
I'm
But
trying to
see,
figure out
so
who would have been the fifth penalty taker because Conor Gallagher was taken out of the game, and he was the one that scored the goal, by the way.
Conor Gallagher was the one that got taken out the game.
Uh,
But that was when they had that's when we were like, that's
Oh, Barrios would have been.
Nahuel Molina. Nahuel Molina came in for
Isn't he?
Gallagher.
Isn't he a defender
Exactly. He's a right back, but I think he would have been the one to take the
over
penalty the next one.
Barrios?
No, maybe Barrios. Yeah, Barrios and Barrios.
I mean, that would have been a bold move to have him though do it. I would say that.
Yeah, but yeah, like I
Wait,
said, I think
when did Clement Lenglet join Atletico Madrid?
Lenglet,
Bro,
left.
we need to stop giving away players to Atletico Madrid. Why do we not care?
Um,
Why do our teams not care about making deals with Atletico Madrid?
because they think that they're gonna catch up, but yeah, they catch up.
Matter of fact, every time you guys give up a 9, they
Yeah,
win the league.
yep, exactly. It's
Uh,
bad.
but yeah, so I wouldn't have been a penalty. Like I mean, Barrios, he would have at least scored the equalizer, and then what?
It would have just been sudden death.
Sudden death, which
Basically, whoever misses the next penalty would have been that's it. It's over. Whether Real Madrid went first or whether
like
Atletico Madrid.
and I will say this though, if if it was Endrick, and now in that scenario where it's like sudden death, I would not be confident in him. So
Damn.
well,
So
because
what you're
no,
saying
because there's
is,
a lot of pressure in that moment.
I mean,
Like I
and that
mean,
and you saw that, and
in the
you
regular,
saw how Vinny
yeah,
had the
but
pressure on him, and
like
I
I'm
didn't think
saying.
that was gonna happen. I didn't
No,
think
I
that was
get
gonna
that.
happen.
I get that. But I'm saying like in a regular the regular first five penalty kick takers, like I'm fine putting Endrick in there because at least in his head he's like, okay, I missed, but hey, it's not over, kind of thing. Whereas in
Yeah.
this scenario, it's like if I don't make this, this is it. Like I mean, like I need to pray, you know.
Yeah.
So like in context in that scenario, yes, I would have not won Endrick out. I would have put Endrick over Lucas Vasquez in the first five penalty kick takers because. I think Lucas Vasquez in maybe in that moment he'd probably be able to step up a little bit better. I mean Rudiger just hit the piss out of it and just that's where I love how they all mimicked his run,
Oh
by the way.
God, yeah. He just
Um
yeah, that's all he did. He just hit the crap out of the ball as hard as he
it was
could.
the most
That was
as
it.
center back it was the most center back penalty kick take I've ever seen in my life. And I'm
It was
perfectly
like
fine with that.
I don't think he had ever really practiced penalty kicks in his life. Like if he does one, it's like he just does it, and then he's like, I want to see how hard I can kick it, and that's literally what he did. He
It's
was
kind
just
of
like, I
funny
want to
because
see.
like Sergio Ramos actually takes pride in his penalty kick
Yeah,
taking abilities, and Rudiger's just like F it
yeah. He's just,
down down the middle with as full velocity as I can.
bro. Okay, but let me tell you something. The moment I realized, yeah, Atletico Madrid is fucked, is when Marcos Llorente went to take his penalty kick, and he just put the ball there, and he just took like two steps, and then he ran into it. I was like, huh? I was like, this dude didn't even. He,
Oh, and
that's
then
not
he
even.
just hit the crossbar. Like
Yeah,
it
he just
was
yeah. And I'm like, my thing was like, man,
maybe
this
he
dude
should have
here.
slipped.
No, exactly. Maybe the slip would have helped him for sure. Jeez, man. Julian
Yeah.
Alvarez took his time, placed the ball, and then as soon as he took it in, he's like, whoops, slip. But he's like, you know what? I'm gonna try to control it. He did. He did
I will
exactly
say
that.
also for anybody that wants to put the tinfoil hat on for Real Madrid, the tinfoil hat putter the hat putter on. You can't blame Real Madrid for the grass. By the way, that was at the Wander
That
Metropolitano.
was a yeah. I was about to say see the grass has nothing to do with it.
No,
My
but I'm
thing
just saying,
is
like, if someone would have said something that Real Madrid did something to the grass, obviously you can't say it
no,
because it was Atletico Madrid.
it was Atletico Madrid.
But yeah,
My
no, so
that was very surprising too, because the thing is, as soon as the game was over, I think they must have turned on the sprinklers real quick, and then just and then yeah, Julian Alvarez, I don't think was expecting that, because
yeah,
dude, honestly, he was calm. That's what I was like. The dude was calm. He was calm. He had nerves of steel and everything. So I was like, all right. But as soon as he sliced it, you could see like you could see his
it's
face.
like
He was just
the
like, I can't
worst
believe
thing
that.
that could possibly happen to you as a professional player, obviously.
Yeah,
Like
like
the worst thing that could happen is slip and then miss your penalty, and for him at least, like, well, I guess
he made it
I
in.
didn't miss
Yeah,
it.
he made it, and
At least
everybody
there's
was
that.
clapping like, okay, okay. But everybody, it was more like I saw his teammates. They were consoling him for the fact that he slipped. They were consoling him for the fact that that he slipped. It wasn't the fact that oh, you hit the ball twice. No, they were like, oh no, it's okay. You slipped. It's okay. It happens. That's literally what the whole conversation was when he was going back, and all of a sudden
Also, I
it's
love the
like,
Diego Simeone outrage.
oh yeah,
Uh, raise your hand if you saw him touch saw the double touch.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all.
exactly. The press
I love that. That's what
conference.
his go-to was for the press conference. Raise your hand if you saw the second touch. uh, don't never
Bro,
change
he's
Diego Simeone. I love you.
oh no, he ain't gonna change. He's never gonna change.
That guy has the safest job in the world. That guy's never getting
That
fired.
he's never getting fired, but he's just gonna, bro. It's just he keeps it constant though. Like he keeps going with the times. Let's put it that way. Like it's not just always the same thing over and over. Like he goes ahead and changes taxes when he needs to. That's
Exactly.
what makes him that. And then the crazy thing is like he'll go ahead and he'll hire some dogs. He'll go ahead
Oh my
and
God, dude.
you
His
know
team.
what?
Golke is a coach now? Is that what? Is that
I
what
think
I
he's the
know?
assistant coach or something like that. Yeah, midfielder
Or did he
coach, I
get
think.
hurt? Or is it that he just got
No,
hurt and
I think he just got hurt. But
yeah?
I
Because I
mean,
mean,
I wouldn't blame him if he hired Koke as a coach. I mean, there's a couple of videos I was
I was
watching
like,
where
bro,
like
man, you just see another dog like when Diego Simeone
yeah,
finally hangs it up.
no,
And
and then that's the
then you
thing.
see
It's
Coca
like
in the blacked out suit.
no, that's what the thing is. Like I was watching a Messi dribbling video, with the boys, and then there was one they were like, "Oh, this is the time that Messi, he went ahead and chopped up Atletico Madrid's like players." And then there was one play, and sure enough, he beat Koke on the run. But then you see Koke twisting his pelvis, grabbing Messi, and just dragging him down by holding down his shirt. And I was like, "Bro," I was like, Koke did that. I was like, I know Koke has a temper when it comes to like confrontation because he's like, hey, if you foul me, he's like, I'm gonna get you back. But for him to be doing that, I was like, I did not expect. I was like, damn. I was like, okay, for real, Jorge Resurrección, you did that? Damn, bro. I was like, all
Hey
right. I
man,
was like, I see you.
six has got to do what a six got to do, man.
Yeah,
But obviously now that's the recap. But I feel like this is the question that's now being asked now about the whole thing because of the of the teams of the 8 teams that basically got an automatic spot on the round of 16. Only 4 are now into the next round. Obviously, uh, Bayer Leverkusen lost to Bayern Munich. Liverpool got beat by PSG. Uh, Atletico Madrid got beat by Real Madrid on some controversy, granted. Borussia Dortmund beat Lille. So yeah, so four of the 8 teams that automatically qualified to the round of 16, they're out. And obviously the one thing that I was gonna say, Edward, is Barcelona now the heavy favorites?
bro. Honestly,
Because Liverpool was really strong going into
they
the
were
league
really
phase,
strong. Yeah, they were. They were really strong.
and PSG just said, "Yeah, no." Well, actually, penalty kicks said no.
Yeah.
But yeah. So now that is Barcelona the heavy favorite? I mean,
Mm,
okay. So who had the tougher matchup? Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona had the tougher matchup.
you know,
Benfica versus PSV. You definitely would say Benfica's a tougher matchup.
yeah, let's say.
But I mean, do you
The
feel
one who
do
had,
you
look,
and
I'm gonna tell you one.
I'm not trying to be like a dumb Arsenal fan, by the way.
Mhm.
But do you feel that 9-3 victory beating PSV does that feel like, oh man, Arsenal might be coming in hot form, or do you think, okay, Real Madrid's gonna do what
Look,
Real Madrid does?
I'm gonna tell you something. The way that Arsenal was playing against PSV and the way that I've been playing just in general, it's it's a possibility that they can beat Real Madrid. Like I see it because they're actually on point right now. They have I feel like those 2 games, they didn't really give up the ball too much. Like they didn't give their backs to it. Like they played the full 180 minutes of good football. Like they possession, passing wise, shooting wise. I
But I
mean,
mean, the
they
question
were
is right
there
now about being the heavy favorite. Do you view Barcelona as the heavy favorite, or do you think Arsenal has made a valid argument for how they handle
to
PSV
to make it to the next round, or are you saying to win everything?
to win everything?
Barcelona.
Okay, I agree. I'm not. I'm not. I mean, yes, was it a closer matchup with Benfica? Yeah, but I still Barcelona was levels above the team.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like it
But they were just
just
levels better than honestly, the Champions League is probably the best I've seen Barcelona because La Liga, at least as of like right now with La Liga, it's been a little. I don't know how you feel, but it seems a bit overwhelming.
it's yeah, they're producing, just not what they need to be producing at the time.
And I think right now is Barcelona is like a tournament team.
Yeah,
Like I don't
right
not
now.
to be not being disrespectful, but like they're just a tournament team right now. It's a tournament, so like Hansi Flick is also a really good tournament coach.
Yep.
So I think that yeah, which never thought I'd be praising Hansi Flick the way I was crapping on that guy when the rumors were happening with this team. But yeah, like I mean, but so kind of going back to the whole thing. Like I said, four of the half the teams that were automatically qualified for the round of 16 are out. And obviously, the teams that are still here is Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter Milan, and Aston Villa. and people have been saying this now. Does the league phase even matter?
Damn.
Like which I'll tell you right now, yes, it does. Because I'm pretty sure that team that finished in 25th place right now in the league phase would sure love to be that 24th place team. So I mean,
Yeah.
so I'm not saying that that I think it goes back to like the whole rest versus resting, right? Like, oh, you're off, you don't have to play, this little playing round. Like, does momentum value? And I mean, you could say that because I mean, Real Madrid they beat Man City, right? And then they
Yep.
come in and maybe they come in with some confidence. Also, mind you, also a healthier Real Madrid team because slowly and surely getting their center backs back. Um, Maybe that was also something that could help boost their confidence going into Atletico Madrid, a team that also they've handled fairly handily in Champions League, controversy aside. Um, but I mean, like, let's be honest, like the upset teams, Bayern Munich, that's a team that normally does fairly well in Champions League as well. Borussia Dortmund literally was at the final last year. Like, first of all, did anybody really think Lille had like a good shot at beating Borussia? Mind you, yes, probably not the best Borussia Dortmund as of lately, but still, this is a team that was in the final last year. And then PSG, I just don't know. I never know with PSG to be honest with you. Are they doing well?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess, but
I mean, I'll be honest, like
and
the
maybe
way
now we're no,
that
and maybe now we're knowing that Liverpool's just not a tournament team because I mean they did just lose to Newcastle, so
yeah,
maybe they're not a tournament team. Maybe that's what we're learning right now.
maybe everybody's finding the chink in their armor.
Yeah, yeah. So like it's not like the teams that won their matchups. They're not necessarily like bad teams if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't do obviously they didn't do as great in the league phase because obviously they had to play in the playing round, but like most of these teams they do fairly well in the Champions League. Like they do. As a matter of fact, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, PSG. The four finalists for literally that was the semifinals, the
Yeah.
Champions League last year. So I mean, I think it does. I think the league phase does matter. I don't know. I think that it goes. I think that's like even like an American sports thing. I don't know. With the whole playoff format here in the U.S. They're like, oh, so even though the eighth best team in the league could still win the championship kind of thing. Um, I don't necessarily think that's the same thing here. Once again, I don't know, Edward. Am I grasping at straws here, or do
I
I
think
have a
you're
point?
grasping at straws.
What?
I think you're grasping at straws.
So you don't think the league phase matters?
I mean, it matters. It's just I don't know, man. Like it's kind of like you kind of expect you see which one's already coming out of it. You know what I mean? And I
I mean,
mean
that's basically the NBA.
yeah. I mean, true. Until they find like the next best thing. You know what I mean? Until they find the next player that's gonna help them cement their their first place kind of shit.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you want them to go back to the group, or do you think the league phase was fine?
I personally prefer the group. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat, but I think at the end of the day, now the league phase is going to be the thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I like the fact that, you give teams that you never really see or expect to see in the Champions League. Like, I like the fact that they, like the little guy gets a say in it. You know,
yeah, okay. So, Lil, do they have a lot of experience going deep in the Champions League? They don't.
they don't.
So, I mean, they literally got beat by a team that has Champions League run experience. You know, Atletico Madrid. Okay, well, that one that was a bit unfair. Okay, let me see. What's the other one? PSG and Liverpool. I mean, both teams do fairly well in the Champions League, and it went down to penalties. So like, you can't really be too mad at pens because that's the ultimate. To me, penalties is the ultimate equalizer. It doesn't matter if you're the best team on the field. If you go to penalties, like it could literally be the team that was just defending the whole. They could have like 10% possession, and that's the team that wins in penalties. And then same thing with Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. Once again, that it experience matters in the Champions League. Leverkusen is still fairly new to the whole being a winning team. So like, yeah, like I guess in some extent maybe it doesn't matter because obviously the team that's in 24th place can still have a shot at winning the Champions League. But like I mean, at the end of the day, you still need to know how to run deep, go deep in this tournament.
Yeah.
And I mean the teams that quote unquote upset their opponents, they have a lot of experience in this tournament. So I don't know if like I don't know like I don't know if it doesn't matter because I mean you still got to be in a position to make it to the next round. But I guess now we're knowing that maybe if you're that team that gets a break, maybe you need to be doing something to prepare for yourself because clearly they didn't do enough. Like like I said, the teams that I mentioned that unfortunately lost. I mean, aside Atletico Madrid, I think once again Atletico Madrid was kind of wronged, to some extent. But like I think everybody else, I mean, Bayer Leverkusen, they just didn't have the they just didn't have the better performance against Bayern. They literally had two legs to show that they could be better than Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich gave them a goose egg.
Yep.
So I mean, that's just my opinion. Like I think the league phase does matter. Like where you finish does matter at the end of the day. And once again, you got teams from like that didn't even make it to the next round that would definitely argue that it kind of does matter.
Yep.
But I mean, if you disagree with me, it's perfectly fair.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I prefer the group stages. So
Yeah, I mean, me as well. But yeah, no, I get that point. But the quarterfinals, all right, man. So 12th place Bayern Munich will be taking on Inter Milan, and the fourth place Inter Milan, by the way. They'll be playing April 8th and April 16th. Who do you have in that matchup?
uh wait, repeat that. You kind of cut off.
Bayern Munich and Inter Milan.
Mm, that's a hard one. I'm gonna push for Inter Milan because I feel like they do have the top forwards right now.
I think they're the best
No,
defensive team. I think they're the best defensive team this Champions League.
I don't know,
Maybe.
but I feel like they got like that bullheaded attacking. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna keep going for it.
I mean, this is gonna be the best matchup.
Yeah.
It's literally gonna be the best matchup. I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Inter Milan is very stingy defensively. I think that could be the different decider. I think Bayern Munich is just gonna have to be at their best defensively, just because obviously you're going up against Lautaro Martinez, who when he has that Inter Milan shirt, he's just a different level. So, which I mean, also in Argentina, he did very well. But yeah, so yeah, I'm with you. I think Inter Milan's a good shout. I don't know if also I don't. I think it seems dumb to say upset with Bayern Munich, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But Inter Milan for sure. The other game that is happening April 8th and April 16th is third place Arsenal taking on 11th place Real Madrid. I'll let
That's
you
gonna
I'll
be.
let you make your pick before I make mine.
Well, I mean, I think Arsenal. I already said it. I think Arsenal. The only thing is they just have to just how Atletico Madrid was able to contain Mbappé. That's all they got to do. Arsenal. That's all they have to do. But they also have like that passing from Declan Rice. I mean, it's just uh he's a big major player and he has that outside shot.
Hmm.
Kai Havertz has been doing pretty well. Um, Odegaard, with Odegaard and Rice, I think that would be a pretty killer midfield. I know Real Madrid has a killer midfield too. I mean, but it's just I feel more. I feel like Arsenal. I'm leaning more towards Arsenal because I feel like they've shown a lot more. I don't want to say grit, but I feel like they've shown a lot more on paper and like in their games. Not just because it was PSV, but it was just in general. I feel like I said, it was a more put well together team
Hmm.
compared to like Real Madrid's like their little mishaps and stuff like that. You know.
Okay. All right. That's an opinion. But look, I think Real Madrid's getting healthy at the right time. Mbappe is now finding his form with the team. I think right now Ari has like 20 goals right now in La Liga. Um, Everything seems to be gelling now. I mean, not Pochettino. Ancelotti has now been able to like utilize that 4-3-3 a little bit better And even if he doesn't use that 4-3-3 just because of obviously having to rotate the squad out, that 4-4-2 still works fairly well for them. So I think this is one of those games where sometimes it's just important to have experience in this tournament, and unfortunately, Arsenal doesn't have a lot of experience in this tournament. I
Just tell them it's the champions, the not the Champions League, but the Europa Cup.
Yeah, but not Champions League, not Champions League experience. Also, this is gonna be one of those times where William Saliba is
Oh yeah.
basically Real Madrid's number one target for the summer, amongst other players. But yeah, it seems like they're going to be pushing pretty hard to get William Saliba, and which will make that back line a little bit more nastier. So yeah, I'm gonna as much as I would love to see Arsenal win the Champions League, I don't think it's happening. I think Real Madrid once again is just the big dogs in the Champions League, and it's gonna I don't until proven differently. I don't see that changing anytime soon. So that's why I'm gonna say Real Madrid beats Arsenal. But I think right now they're getting healthy at the right time, and I think things are clicking, which I did say many times. Once this team starts clicking, uh, be afraid, be very afraid.
Okay, okay. Hmm.
All right, and the matchups that are going April 9th and April 15th, we got second place Barcelona taking on 10th place Borussia Dortmund. Um,
I'll let you say your piece on this one.
it's Barcelona. I'm sorry, but Dortmund has not been very good. It's
Yeah, they've
impressive.
been.
It's impressive that they got this far.
Yeah, I mean,
So
maybe if they would have gone with no, man. I mean, honestly, everybody's been playing pretty well except Borussia Dortmund has been the one. Well, no, I take it back. Maybe if Dortmund would have been against Aston Villa, maybe. Even I'm skeptical. Like maybe, but against Barcelona, nah, man. It's.
once again, I think this team is the best. Like I think we're learning that this year Barcelona is a tournament team. Which I'm the reason why I'm saying that, calling them that, is because obviously when we started this year, I got to interview Hafid, aka Barca Boy, and he essentially kind of was saying that this team is more built for tournaments than they are for La Liga.
Yeah,
And so I think that right now, like yeah, I mean, and they're not in a bad spot in La Liga either. By the way, this is before Atletico Madrid and Barcelona play against each other. Or they actually are probably playing right now. So this is before that. So obviously that result is going to be very telling of how this all transpires. But yeah, I think that this team right now is a really good tournament team. Like I wouldn't be shocked if we see Barcelona in the Champions League final, like at all. So obviously that hurts me saying that as a Real Madrid fan, but I'll be honest with you, this team in tournament has looked it's like night and day. I don't know if that makes any sense, Edward.
yeah. Compared to like last year and the previous years, yeah.
Yeah, completely different team. And
Hmm.
once again, hats off to Hansi Flick. I did not expect this from you. So I have to apologize, Hansi Flick. I didn't recognize your game.
He's like just because I heard this podcast, I'm gonna go extra hard on Real Madrid if we have to face them.
Technically, didn't they already do that? Twice? Like
Yeah.
that wasn't. I mean, literally in the regular season and then also in the Super Cup.
No, yeah.
Kind of.
Damn.
How
We're like we're like
how much worse
how
can it
much worse can
be?
it be?
I hate you. But all right, you said Barcelona, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And once again, I think they're the heavy favorites now. Because of the team that eliminated them, PSG, 15th place PSG taking on 8th place Aston Villa.
I'm gonna say PSG.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Aston Villa. You guys,
Yeah, I
I love
mean
you, Emmy. I love you, Emmy. I know you're there. I know you're over there. You're best, world's best goalkeeper. But yeah, y'all don't have that money. Y'all don't got
yeah.
that PSG money.
Yeah, they got buku money.
But it
I
would
got
be an
that buku
amazing
buku.
Asensio revenge game.
It would be.
Asensio revenge game. Is it? Yeah, that's basically it. I don't know if there's any Aston Villa players that play for PSG now, but
right?
maybe they can write off of that. But no, I don't think so. And also it's Luis Enrique, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
I'm not betting against that guy.
well, I mean, you already know his formation is gonna be 4-4-3.
Honestly, man, I don't even know why I
No, I mean,
doubted.
I'm not 4-4-3. I'm sorry. It's gonna be 4-4-3-3.
I don't even know why I doubted why I even doubted them against Liverpool. Because I was about to say Arne Slot is not as an experienced coach as Luis Enrique.
Yeah, Luis Enrique, he pulled out quite a few stops on there.
Oh man, dude, I don't even I don't know. Dang, I gotta apologize to Luis Enrique now.
You're like apologizing to all the Barca.
Bro, he's a good coach. Like I mean,
He is.
as much as I hate Barca, I mean the guy's a good coach. Like
He is a good
it
coach.
was to me when he left Barcelona, I thought it was wild. I thought it was a wild move for him to leave. But hey, coached Spain for a bit.
Things happen, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, shoot, yeah. Ma- Imagine if he's like the next coach to win all like five major European leagues.
Oh man, that's crazy. You think he'll get excited like Joe Mourinho?
Jose Mourinho. I don't
Yeah.
know. Jose Mourinho never did what he. That's an interesting argument. Like, because obviously Carlo Ancelotti won in every has won in all five major leagues in Europe. Obviously, one with PSG, one with AC Milan, one with Chelsea, Real Madrid, and then he won with Bayern Munich, right?
Yep.
And then he won Champions League with AC Milan, Chelsea, and Real Madrid. Do you obviously I'm obviously a homer at this, but do you feel like Carlo Ancelotti right now is the best coach in the world?
Mm, I'm actually trying to think of like all the top tier
Also,
teams
with
right
a
now.
really injured Real Madrid team, he's still able to get results. I just want to point that out as well.
I'm trying to think of any other coach. I mean, honestly, dude, like coaching wise, let me put it this way.
Because I
What do
mean,
you think?
Pep is a
Let,
good
let,
shout. I
no,
know
no,
Pep
no,
is a
no,
good
no,
shout.
no.
Pep's always
Pep
going
is
to
a
be a good
good.
shout.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. What if what if Diego Simeone was to coach Real Madrid?
Oh, if he
Like,
had
what do
the
you think?
resources,
Huh?
if he had their resources,
Like, if he was basically, like, if somehow in some twisted other world kind of place, Cholo Simeone was the coach of Real Madrid, what do you think? What do you think would be?
okay, I see I'm see where you're going with
Yeah,
this.
because I mean,
Yeah, um,
Ancelotti is a great coach. He is a great coach.
I
But
mean,
if you say he's the best coach in the world right now at the moment, this is me being a
no, no,
Barca
no,
fan.
you're making like a super valid argument. Like I'm not even disagreeing with you. I mean, because you're
Because
talking,
I mean,
you
I
know,
mean,
whatever,
I,
regardless of whatever iteration of Real Madrid you're talking about, like you can even talk about like the first stint for Ancelotti, right? Like the one that had
yeah.
Ronaldo
You had
and
Cristiano. It had what
Di
you call it?
Maria,
Di
Modric,
Maria. It
young
had
Di
a health
Maria, young
young
Modric.
Madrid, Tony Cruz. Uh, what you
Ca-
call it? Had Sergio
the
Ramos.
initial
Ra
the initial
you had both.
Casemiro.
You had Raúl Albiol. You had
No, you didn't.
co- oh, you didn't?
No,
Okay.
you
You
had
had este
you just got Gareth Bale,
Gareth Bale. There you go. That's who I was thinking of. I was like Gareth Bale. You had Marcelo on one side.
Benzema.
Benzema. Oh, you had Benzema too.
Oh, young Daniel Carvajal.
Yeah,
So before the
Carvajal.
injuries,
And who else?
Pepe, Sergio Ramos.
You had just gotten David Alaba, right? Or was that Zidane?
No. Alaba was recently.
Okay, okay. So,
No,
mm,
yeah. So that
who else
team,
was Sergio Ramos?
uh,
It was Sergio Ramos. Who else was in the center back?
Pepe,
Oh, that's right, Pepe. Yeah. And then you had
Iker
Iker
Casillas.
Casillas. Phew. It wasn't the Galacticos, but it was something else.
That was definitely Los Galacticos.
Ah,
That was the second iteration. You're talking about that was like the Galacticos 2.0. I know you're talking about like Ronaldo, Zidane, and that was
yeah,
that
yeah.
phenomenal. Roberto Carlos. Weirdly
Yep.
enough, Sergio Ramos was also part of that team. So
He was just the first starting coming out, Sergio
he was
Ramos,
a right back
but I
Sergio
think it was
Ramos.
like Mikael Salgado, I think was there. Guti was there. Uh, Cicinho,
Raúl,
Raúl, Figo, Fenómeno. Who
Thomas
did you?
Graveson.
Oh God, what?
Thomas Grayson, Julio it's because remember I have
Oh, Julio Baptista.
the wooden
Right,
plank of Real
right,
Madrid.
right, right.
I like looking it up sometimes. Like, oh, what a time.
Yeah, what a time. David Beckham.
Yeah, Bex,
Yeah,
good old
Bex.
good old Bex,
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
No, that's what I said. Cicinho.
Yeah,
Cicinho. He
what?
was, to be honest, he was the Marcelo previously to Marcelo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
he's kind of what started all like the Brazilians.
He was like he was the one that started out the Brazilian left backs, right backs. Like you had Maxwell alongside that too, but it was a younger Maxwell compared to Cicinho. And then, uh, yeah, yeah.
All right,
So,
just to come back to this.
good times, good times.
Coming back to this, so you and me both predicted Inter Milan to beat Bayern Munich. You have Arsenal beating Real Madrid. I have Real Madrid. We both picked Barcelona to beat Borussia Dortmund and PSG beating Aston Villa.
Hmm.
All
Sounds
right.
about right.
Yep. All right. That is Champions League. Um, yeah, man. I can't wait for the quarterfinals. I think it's gonna be super dramatic. The next time we recap the quarterfinals, we'll also feature your Europa League. Just because I think that we'll finally have more teams that we probably recognize a little bit better. So we can actually talk about them a little bit easier.
All right.
Uh, but yeah. Anyways, great to have Edward back on, man. Yeah, man. Anything you want to say before we wrap this up, man?
Well, it's great to be back. Always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for your time, for hearing our ramblings over here. Sound like two old ass men talking about like we're talking about one thing, and then all of a sudden we go on a 10-minute talk about something else, and then we go back to it.
It's the allure.
It's the majesty.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna go right into MLS Onside Episode 4 review with Jose Tejas of Goals TV. All right, guys. We're now hitting the midway point of MLS Onside, and I will say, for someone that has watched NFL Hard Knocks, this is usually where I lose complete and utter interest. I don't know if you've ever been in that scenario. I don't know if you've ever watched Hard Knocks or anything like that. Um, but yeah, the most I've ever been invested in Hard Knocks at all in my life was when it was the Texans, and then after that, I could care less about the other teams. So yeah, though I will say this episode is an interesting episode. I don't a little bit different. I mean, obviously the last episode was very much different, but this one's a little bit more different as well. But yeah, man. How are you feeling so far? How are you toughing out in MLS Onside?
No, man, it's good. I'm also like an anomaly, I think, bro. I honestly like content for me is any kind of content that I wouldn't normally get through a game. I'm usually locked in. As an example, you referenced kind of being tuned out with Hard Knocks. There was a time, bro, where I watched every one of those seasons religiously, like in the preseason before
Mm.
NFL racing kicked off. Um, just to see, bro, like to get a sense of personality, to get a sense of I don't know, the mentality of some of these guys, right? Again, because at the end of the day, such a low percentage of any one of these pro athletes, or athletes in general, goes on to make it pro. So I think for me, it's always like peek behind the curtain. If I can get it, I'll take it any day of the week. Some are better than others. Don't get me wrong. Some storylines are way better than others. But yeah, bro, so far with Onside, I was really looking forward to this episode, only because I know what kind of player and somewhat personality Tim Parker really is. We talked about it in the last one as we concluded it, right? Like just absolute dog, kind of a journeyman at the same time too. Um, so yeah, man, we'll talk about it. But I was really curious to learn more about his story, and I love where they went with it.
Yeah, definitely. This episode was very much centered around Tim Parker. I mean, it was also St. Louis, but I think what garnered most of my attention was Tim Parker, and we'll definitely get to him in this one. But obviously, episode 4, City Blues, is the second year club. St. Louis City are under pressure to build a winning culture. A rematch against Sporting KC raises the stakes. So it is going to be centered around St. Louis SC. Obviously, if you're going to have some sort of thing to connect with it, probably their biggest rival right now, which is their neighbor from Kansas. Kansas City is so weird. It's Missouri, but it's also Kansas at the same time. It's
Yeah.
it's bizarre, but it's their closest rival, and I actually like that there is a rivalry. Like sometimes I feel like they kind of force rivalries just to make it happen. Austin FC, just
By
to
the
make
way, watch them get dunked on by Parker in this episode was hilarious.
yeah. So it was just one of those where, all right. But yeah, St. Louis SC, obviously this is the year before it was, the debutantes of the MLS. Everybody was intrigued by this team. St. Louis is a very interesting city in general. A city that I would say probably like misses having a professional team in their city. Also home to one of the best college soccer programs in St. Louis University. Only reason I know that is obviously because of Bridgie Marana. But yeah, so St. Louis, I don't know if it's a soccer town. I know Greg Berhalter tried to suck the dick of St. Louis by saying it was the capital, the soccer capital of the. I don't even know what actually I'd probably say New Jersey might be the capital, but just because of all the players that have come out of that region.
Yeah.
But yeah, St. Louis MLS expansion team, obviously women ownership group. I brushed that off like it's so disrespectful, but I actually do not mean it in that way. But yeah, women's ownership group, really cool. They got the Purina Dog Chow sponsor and all that. But obviously, impressive first season, right? They get first place in the Western Conference, only to get immediately eliminated in the first round by Sporting KC, a team that looked atrocious. Jose. But yeah, we'll start off from there. St. Louis City.
Yeah, I actually like the opening to it, right? If you've first off, I've never been to City Park. I want to go to that stadium. It's very much on the bucket list of mine. For the fan base, for like you mentioned before, right? The lack of a professional sports presence there prior to St. Louis City coming in, for a number of reasons, the city was starving for something like this. And yeah, like the one the I say the factor that kind of sticks out with them, right, is in a great way. I think they could have touched on it probably even a little bit more with the female-led ownership group. I think that it's pretty cool to see that. You don't get a lot of that in MLS, really anywhere probably around the globe. And so, being kind of unique in that way is pretty damn awesome. But just beyond that, man, like getting a sense of what Carnell liked about it, prior to getting let go. The sporting director, right? Getting just getting kind of a top level view of what makes St. Louis, not just for the team, but for the city. And of course, we got, Tim Parker's POV on it, why he was so excited to kind of be there for that inaugural season. It's dope, man. Honestly, like I find myself now wanting to try and go visit that stadium as soon as I can, just to get a sense of it for myself. But I feel like they did a really good job of kind of painting the picture of what it means to that community, to that fan base. And as far as Midwest towns are considered, man, it's got to be up there, right? As one of like the premier fan bases and venues. And the rivalry, which they touched on all throughout this episode. Again, like it didn't feel like the hell is real derby, right? I mean, that episode was like it almost felt touchy-feely. Like, hey, this is something you don't want to piss off the other side. You kind of want to walk on eggshells a little bit when you talk about this rivalry. This didn't feel like that per se. However, you could still sense, right, the back and forth with the storytelling. Even Johnny Russell being a very prominent part of this episode. On the SKC side, we'll talk about that too. But yeah, man, I think the opening, 15-ish minutes, 20 minutes, just really kind of painting the picture, setting the scene. Solid job.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously that the St. Louis City. I'm so getting confused with these teams. Um, Overwhelming 2024, right? Obviously, nothing went well for them. Obviously, it led to them sacking Carnell, who now is with Philadelphia, if anybody is keeping track on him. Um, The question will be: was his sacking warranted? I mean, this is second year coach. Literally had probably the best start to a season, despite not winning an MLS Cup from it, but still not a pretty good first season for an expansion team. But I think it's a sentence that I've heard for a long, long time. Shout out to Draftneck Mark. He's a baseball content creator, but he has a phrase that I've been using ever since, which is if you're not getting better, you are getting worse. And I say that wholeheartedly, and I say that because it applies to every sport. If you are not trying to get better in your offseason, regardless of how good your team is, if you're not trying to add one or two pieces to that mix, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse because the competition around you is getting better. And I think that that's exactly what happened with St. Louis, at least in 2024. I think they thought that, hey, we have a team here. We don't got to do much changes. And unfortunately, they didn't make any significant changes. I don't know if there was any changes specifically, but nothing significant enough, which then led to Carnell getting sacked and obviously them making very bold moves to try to keep something afloat for St. Louis.
I think they were spoiled, bro. Realistically, like if you look at this, compare them to Cincinnati. How bad was Cincinnati coming into this league, right? And they gave Noonan the longest leash ever, right? 'Cause I think it requires that. I think had St. Louis not seen that much success in year one, I don't think they would have sacked Cardinal year two. Really don't think so. I think it was a matter of the bar had been set. They expected to see progress pretty dramatically, right? Like pretty soon after the fact, the next season over. And when they couldn't replicate what they did in 2023, it almost just felt like, hey, this is what we're supposed to do, right? Like this is not a knock on the sporting director, or the club ownership. I don't know how experienced they are in their respective roles. I haven't done the research yet, but it just felt like this is a move they have to make because the pressure from the fan base, the pressure from maybe anywhere inside of that group just demanded so, right? And I think Carnell, to be honest, Tim Parker included, got the short end of the stick. And again, I don't know if those moves even dramatically level up St. Louis. For those who are following Philadelphia Union in 2025, outside of the random one-off, and I will call it random because to me Philly is a good team. Outside of the random Nashville result, Carnell seems to be gelling pretty well with this team in Philadelphia. And that's, again, historically a front office and an ownership group who does not supply their manager with the best of tools, the best of resources, kind of has to make do with what he has, so to speak. So I don't know. I feel like if Carnell ends up being successful in Philly and St. Louis can't find a way to replicate 2023, either this season or the next one after that, I don't know. Might be a little bit of regret there. I think to me, it felt like a rushed decision. And I wasn't saying this last season. We talked about St. Louis a lot on my own channel, right? Like the draw kings of the Midwest. Like how many games did they draw like in the first 15, 20 last season? It was insane. But that's the thing, right? Yeah, he couldn't convert draws to wins, but I don't know if that necessarily warranted him being fired considering how new this team and this franchise really are. So it felt rushed. It just felt like something that they thought they had to do because for whatever reason they weren't able to replicate 2023.
Yeah, then obviously you got to act like you're doing something in some sense, right? And we'll talk about Tim Parker in a bit, but I mean Carnell, I feel like you just had to look like you're doing something. I don't know about the speculation of Carnell losing locker room. I mean, if you're a coach that's quote unquote viewed as a hard ass, I mean, it comes with the territory. I think it's one of those things where you're probably motherfucking him at least behind the scenes, but when it's time to work kind of thing. It's one of those you may not like him, but you do respect him kind of thing. If that is the relationship, I don't know about losing the locker room. If anything, the locker room was probably very much just frustrated, not being able to get results at all throughout that season. Obviously, either being a buck short or just a stupid slip up could cost everything for St. Louis and having a different conversation. And obviously, Kansas City, whole other ordeal their season was. We won't really talk too much about them just because it's not much else to say. But I will say, if you want to go ahead and make this the segment where we slash Peter Vermees, I'm all for it. If you guys don't know, Peter Vermees. He is the coach, GM, and I will give him the title of terrorist of Sporting Kansas City because, my God, how is this guy still having a job? As a matter of fact, they brought it up. Yeah, like maybe we should fire him, but that's literally what the owner said. They're like, yeah,
Well, the thing is,
maybe.
you have to have like defined better options out there too. And what I will say is there probably are. There probably were some options, right, all throughout last season that they could have gone after, at least in one or two. Um, but like I don't know, bro. To me, he's got such a stranglehold over the front office, over the impact, technically, right, by assuming so many rules. He's probably never going anywhere. Like I just don't see it. I don't. He is Jerry Jones for the Sporting Kansas City. That's
And
basically what
how
he
he
is.
got his job too, because I don't believe he was a coach initially. I think he was just I think he was like somewhere he worked he's obviously within Sporting Kansas City. I don't know if he was like an assistant or anything like that, or he was a scout. I don't know what the hell exactly he had, but then they're like, "F it, we need a coach," just
Yeah. And don't
and
get me wrong, he's qualified, but at some point, right? Like it's a results oriented business. Like you gotta get the results. And I think was it in 2023 when he had that crazy comeback, right?
yeah, I mean they started terrible in
Mhm.
2023. Obviously made it to the wild card, won the wild card, and then upset your rival, St. Louis. I think as a matter of fact, it was a sweep. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, I think maybe that's where you get the leeway from. Like, hey, it may not be great, and I mean, they obviously throw out the injury excuse, right? That it's always the good excuse to have. Like, hey, I had this many injuries this season, so we were gonna be bad, kind of thing. But yeah, Peter Vermees, he's a probably very safe. It's probably still gonna be a safe person. I'll be shocked if Sporting Kansas City fires him because they've had ample of opportunities to do so. But at the same time, you made a valid point. Who would you go after as far as the coach goes? Because I mean, Kansas City, it's not one of those like you just plug in the guy and you hope for it. It's going to be a project.
Yeah. 100%. Whoever, if someone were to come in and replace Peter Vermees, it legitimately would be a massive project. Like you probably have to you're talking about switching a manager and probably a younger manager coming in and having to retool that entire roster. And
Not
some
only
of
that,
that's
but you
already,
have to find a GM too.
yeah, 100%. And so I think that like it's almost like, dude, there's too much to change. Let's just try to ride this out until there is no point of return, right? And then we'll maybe we'll overhaul the entire thing. Who knows? But yeah, bro, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where he's got his footprint everywhere, right? He's got his hands on everything. I don't know how quickly you can just like get him out and find somebody to come in and keep the ship afloat. And then you think about maybe who knows, maybe some of the respect he commands in the locker room. I know guys like Johnny Russell aren't there anymore, and he was a major part of this episode. Um, and I think that Johnny Russell, not to pivot too hard away from Vermees, but I think he's like very because if you know about Russell in 2025, he doesn't have a team currently. Um, he was kind of a bright spot in a very dark time for Sporting Kansas City. But I will say like maybe that's the start of that, right? Not bringing him back, finding a way to kind of, again, they moved on from Pulido, moved on from some of these old head pieces, right? So maybe it's slowly happening in Kansas City if the results continue to not be there. Um, I don't know, man. Like it's all speculation because at the end of the day, like Vermees just has, I don't know, a dictatorship he's running potentially in Sporting Kansas City. Like he's probably it's crazy, bro. He could have some of the worst results in the league, and I don't think I'll ever say that his seat is hot.
Hmm.
I don't think so. Like I just feel like he's gonna find a way to keep his job no matter what.
I agree to that. And you mentioned Johnny Russell, and I think that's perfect way to segue into that one. This is the two players that they feature in this episode both are in very similar situations, which is obviously contract negotiations. So this is kind of where you're kind of hearing their perspective of how both of them would like to stay with their clubs. And obviously, we're talking about Johnny Russell and Tim Parker. Johnny Russell, I think at least the hesitancy for him is obviously is he's old. 34 years old, young, super young, prime of his life, some may say. Um,
I
but
second that. I second that.
but yeah, I mean, obviously, when you get up in the 30s, it's not easy to sell yourself to a long-term deal, if that makes any sense. Maybe a short-term deal, but as far as being a long-term guy, I mean, Johnny Russell came into Kansas City, it feels like years ago now, man. It's insane now when I think about it, but yeah, has been with Kansas City his whole life as far as an MLS experience. And yeah, I mean, if you're in his position, you would want to just live the rest of your life in Kansas City, I guess, if you've never experienced any other city.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to feel about that part per se, but yeah, I think I think for at that age, bro, like to be honest, I think about it now, and this is another overarching theme I think of this episode was family, right?
Mhm.
Like family was a massive, massive part, both sides, both Parker and Russell, and you kind of heard Johnny talk about
Two
it, right? He's
different
like
types of families, a starting family and three
a
kids.
full, yeah, fully fledged family. Yeah, I think that like you heard Johnny say it, like I think he mentioned like when he talked about coming to the league, how like not just welcome but wanted he felt by Kansas City, and when you feel that welcome, that wanted, and you feel like it's going to be a comfortable place for your family to set up shop, it's almost a no-brainer. Right.
Mhm.
And I think when you do have a family, especially a fully fledged family like Johnny Russell, that's what matters the most, bro. I think like big market team doesn't matter. You want to keep playing as long as you possibly can, and you want your family to be comfortable. And I think that if those boxes get checked off, you can turn up day in and day out, regardless of what team you're playing for, regardless of how bad they might be or how playoff worthy that team might be, and just put in 110% day in and day out, regardless of age. And you kind of see that, bro, in training, going fucking hard. For me, he's talking to his assistant about how he doesn't like being yelled at. I'm the same way, bro. Like if I go hard, I'm gonna go hard. Like I'm not gonna worry about injuries and things like that. Like I want to win. I'm gonna train accordingly. So you can tell he still wants it, but again, because he's a veteran, in that game towards the end against St. Louis, right? Like, just wasn't going to be featured as a starter because of his age. Was going to come off the bench, be an impact player, and he very much was that. So, yeah, man, I think, and again, fast forward to 2025. He's not part of that team anymore officially. But like I said before, Johnny Russell to me will be underappreciated. I think you look ahead to MLS in 10 years. I don't know how many SKC fans are going to be raving about Johnny Russell, but to me, he was like one of the lone bright spots in a very dark time for Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, definitely. I agree to that part, especially when other names that could be mentioned is Alan Pulido. I think you definitely jump over that guy. Um, he's now with Chivas. He's back with
Yep.
Chivas now.
Yep.
But the other player is Tim Parker, man. And I mean, what's funny is like as you don't necessarily like. I mean, obviously, as you get more and more into MLS, obviously, I already mentioned on this podcast like my origin story as to how I got into MLS, and obviously, it's not something that I stay up to date with all the teams. I just stay up to date with the Houston Dynamo, at least at this sense. But obviously, now that I'm actually having to cover multiple leagues, you learn a little bit more about these players and a little bit about their stories. So Tim Parker to me was a very much an unknown till well, I knew about him for Red Bull New York just because I knew he wanted to throw hands with one of the Dynamo players, and I think at that moment I fell in love with him. But because dog,
Absolute
but
dog.
the whole journeyman, the MLS journeyman thing, which at first I was like, "What's this guy talking about? He's only been to New York and Houston. What's he like?" Unbeknownst to me, did not know his whole origin story. To find out that he was drafted by Vancouver,
Yep.
then went to Red Bull New York. Obviously, came to Houston, and he was very very vocal about his time in Houston, and I don't blame him. That was a very toxic environment at that time. And then obviously now he's in St. Louis. Um, Technically New England, if you want to say it now, but if you know what happens to Tim Parker essentially, and then now he's back with Red Bull New York, but he very much wanted to be part of St. Louis. I mean, his family was literally starting in St. Louis, but so much significance. One, he was the opening day captain for St. Louis SC. He scores their first regular season goal for St. Louis SC, and not only that, but he scored their first postseason goal. Granted, they lost, but goal. Nonetheless, I mean, he is an MLS he was St. Louis's MLS veteran, which is something that we talk about, especially in MLS, that you need. Yeah, go get yourself those overseas players, the ones that are gonna bring you the money and the beautiful bowl, whatever. But you need that MLS guy that just says, "Hey, we just need to punch this guy in the throat," like, and that's what Tim Parker is. I mean, St. Louis loved him so much that they made a beer for him.
Yeah.
So the Parker Pilsner, which I hope is still a thing, because I don't think so, but it'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, bro, I felt when they went through and you saw how the trade happened. And again, I'll repeat what I said about Cardinal. It felt like a giant overreaction. It really did. Like it felt like, hey, Cardinel's out. Okay, cool. Well, we're probably gonna bring another coach in at some point. He'll probably want a younger roster, something that truly represents what an expansion market's all about: young, exciting, hungry, et cetera, et cetera. Anyone who's watched this league as long as we all have, you need veterans. You have to have them, right? Like in some way, shape, or form. Someone who's going to be a locker room guy, someone who's going to lead by example, someone who understands that through the dips, right, the peaks and the valleys, that you stay the course because there's still probably going to if things shake out your way, right? There's probably going to be moments for you to get back to where you want to be. And you don't always get that with youth. And that's why I thought it was very surprising. I get the logic from the sporting director. I can't remember his name. But I get the logic, right? Hey, he's already on the wrong side of 30. We're gonna go with someone that we can, kind of bring on to a longer term contract at that position, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. Like I understand logically what they're trying to do. I still don't know if it was the right decision. I think only time will tell. But dude, I mean, watching him like as someone who has a son who's almost 2 years old, I can only imagine what it would have been like if I had to go explain to my wife that I got traded, and that for the rest of the season I'm gonna be FaceTiming you from Boston, right? Like it. I mean, while your child is still in those extremely formative years, and so that by itself, bro. I mean, it was me watching it, it felt like a dagger, to the heart. And it's the reality of being in this business. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that shouldn't have happened. I mean, teams can do as they wish. But I think, again, had 2023 not panned out, had they just found a way to just slowly ascend to their peak as opposed to hitting it, ground running from the first season on, I think they would have been more patient with some of their players, some of their veterans, and like we talked about before, their actual coach.
Yeah, and I mean the sporting director for St. Louis, yeah, when he was saying young, long term contract, which is funny because he's it's Kessler that they traded for, like it's not like he's not much younger. I mean, yes, he's in the 20s, but he's not like we're not talking about like a 21-year-old or anything like that. Because I feel like that's how they were signing. Oh, young player, long-term deal, better commitment makes more sense. Also, like I was just waiting. He was like that typical startup company that eventually will throw out the word synergy, just even though no one knows what that means. Um, I still to this day have no idea what that means. Uh,
Hey, yo, facts though, bro, facts. Yeah, it just felt like I said. I think they treated it, and this is the difference, right? Major League Soccer's unlike any other league around the world. I think they treated it like this is a club in another league where maybe you're not one of the top dogs, one of the big market teams. So we're going to piece together our roster with young, hungry prospects that maybe we could ship out for a profit. And at a minimum, even if we're not successful on the table with results, we can become a profitable organization by shipping out young, hungry, promising talent. And that's respectable. I just don't know how possible that is in Major League Soccer. I think like as an example, right? Dallas has been doing that for fucking ever, and no championships to speak of, right? And I think at some point the fan base starts to get a little bit impatient when that becomes your identity. So it's just something to be wary of if you're a brand new side, a brand new expansion team like St. Louis was back then or San Diego FC is now. I think, but again, I think if you want to compete from day one, I just can't think of a team in recent memory that was completely young all the way around and was able to win consistently. Like I think you just have to have veterans. The experience is wildly important.
no, yeah, super important. I think you need that combination of youth, but also experience. And I mean, there are some unique cases where your youth also happens to have experience, but That's all. That's also Lamine Yamal, and I don't think you're gonna get. It's not very often you're gonna get a player like that.
None of those
Um,
guys in MLS. No.
yeah. But yeah, I think it's always weird. Like I get it that if you want to build through youth and blah blah blah, but this ain't EA Sports FC. Like it's not gonna work out as well as you think it is. You need your savvy veterans. You need that grinded out guy that can. And it's one thing also because it's a lot of people, a lot of outsiders that are coming to St. Louis, and you need that person that can help get them adjusted to life in America. This guy was this was an advertisement for Costco for crying out loud. The way he was talking about Costco, Tim Parker, man, I was like, dang, he's
Costco
not
goes
wrong
hard,
though.
bro. It goes hard. I love Costco.
He's not wrong though. I don't know about the vacation day part, which, yeah, literally everything's in Costco. Like,
Facts, bro. Facts. Again, I think Tim Parker now has probably obviously right accepted it. And again, I still don't get me wrong. He's not like I'm not sitting here saying he's the best center back in the league or the best veteran center back in the league. Like I just think he adds value,
mhm.
right? I think maybe there could have been a way to keep him around if you restructure the extension of his contract. If you, because again, if you finding someone who's got the emotional attachment to St. Louis, and for Parker, it's for family reasons, and it's also for the what he goes down in the history books for. The first regular season goal for St. Louis City, the first postseason goal for St. Louis City.
Man was on the
Um,
billboard.
yeah, bro. I mean, at one point was quite literally the face of the organization, and you feel like a guy like that is going to do whatever it takes to represent the badge well, both on the field and off. To me, the pros of keeping him outweigh the cons. But again, right, I think we're having a different conversation all the way around if St. Louis doesn't end up as the first seed in 2023.
Yeah, I think this is a whole. Yeah, you're right, and I think also if it wasn't for the fact that they just weren't able to at least turn some draws to wins, this could have been a whole other story. It would have been one of those like, hey, we didn't really have to do much change. But in reality, you do need to make. I'm not saying get rid of players, but like you need to add a piece or two. Um, it's always funny how we hype up, St. Louis because they have Roman Berkey, someone that was once very much revered from his time at Borussia Dortmund, which I don't know why we do that. It's not like they really want anything, but hey, he's still a solid goalkeeper nonetheless.
True.
I'm not hating to be hating sake, but yes, he is a very much a top goalkeeper. I'm not saying that he's not, but it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, we're praising this guy, but we're giving up a lot of goals, and yes, defensively, that's probably one of the reasons behind it, but. Yeah, I think Tim Parker, I think was just looked at as like an easy scapegoat. Contract negotiations was happening. Like, oh, we could just not give him a contract and then get something out of him, which was Henry Kessler, which can't really tell you much about the guy.
Yeah, I couldn't either, to be honest, man. And again, I only know what I know about Tim Parker playing against Houston as long as we did, right, while he was there. And I knew of his mentality, of his personality. Um, I don't know if they truly leveled up by making that trade. Again, I think they made it simply because they wanted to have a more youthful side. And sure, again, to each their own. I just felt like it didn't really work out in their favor for the remainder of 2024. And we still have it's yet to be determined for 2025. Right. So they do have plenty of defenders in that roster. Don't get me wrong. But we'll see. Time will tell. Right now, they're in a good spot in the table, but we're 4 weeks into the season. So, and again, in the dog days of summer, that's when experience tends to shine more than anything else because of the fact that multiple competitions get thrown in. Leagues Cup, we're halfway through Open Cup at that point. And in addition to that, right, when you're traveling all across this country and if you're traveling into the southern parts of this country, it's hot as hell. And when you have someone like Tim Parker who's experienced multiple markets all across this country, who can help coach some of the youngsters in terms of how to think about some of the fan bases they're going to be in front of, how to deal with some of the elements in some of these markets and cities. I feel like the pros outweigh the cons, but we'll see.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
Yeah, so this episode technically featured 2 games. You had obviously the Sporting Kansas City St. Louis game, which was a 3-3 draw.
Yep.
Notes that I took away from it was, oh shit, a Polito goal. And Klaus is a dog.
Klaus is a fucking dog. I remember that tackle, by the way. I remember it.
That was a straight body check.
Bro, it was. And I'll stand by this. It was not a foul. I remember SKC fans screaming from the rooftops that it should have been a foul. I think that homie just got weight roomed. I think it was shoulder to shoulder, and he completely just truck sticked the hell out of that defender.
Yeah,
and they paid for it.
It was solid. Also, the equalizer was very nasty. That was also another thing I took from it. I also would say this is by far the worst locker room scenes I've ever seen in my life. SKC, you literally had a player showing his ass in the background. Y'all can call me sus, but they literally make you like look where it is in the direction because it's like blurred. So like there's literally a dude switching underwear at halftime, which I have questions already from that one. But hey, people got their routines, people got their ways to do matches. Luckily, we do not know what player it was, but yeah, the ass scene was very diabolical. And St. Louis, that was by far the most depressing post game speech. Like honestly, if I was in there, I'd fire Carnell too. So
I just don't think he's that guy. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think every manager is a little bit different. I'm not gonna say you're saying he was like a marshmallow, right? But like he's just I don't see him being the rah guy. I don't see even as a player, maybe I don't even see it. Like I just think his personality is there. Maybe Carnell's a little bit more of a tactician. Maybe he's just more logical in his approach. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't the greatest locker room season. Considering it's a rivalry, I was expecting a little bit more. It's kind of crazy to say. I feel like Vermees might even be a better motivator than Carnell. But I mean, all in all, yeah.
Which I didn't even listen to it because I was distracted by an ass. So.
Sex sells, bro. Sex sells. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I didn't feel the rivalry in this one the way that I felt it with the Hell is Real Derby. Yeah. I felt that shit. Like I was just like, dude, to live in Ohio, this is actually insane. To be anywhere between Missouri and Kansas, it probably is a crazy rivalry if you're there in person. Didn't feel it as much in this episode. However, they still are shouting from the rooftops that, or they're having the debate as to who is the proper soccer capital of America. I don't think it's either of them, but yeah, I mean, they can keep having that debate all they want to.
Yeah, and then the other game was the New England St. Louis game, which obviously this was the Tim Parker post trade game. 2-2 draw, shocking. Who had that in their bingo card? I will say though, Kessler did score a goal in this game, so I guess win if you're a St. Louis SC supporter. Like, he's already paying off in the trade. I guess I don't know how he is right now, but I don't even know if he's still on Kansas City's like lineup. It's Kansas City, St. Louis. Jesus Christ, I mix up those two teams. I will say this from personal experience, as someone that have made the bus trip from St. Louis to Sporting Kansas City. That is the dullest drive you'll ever have in your life. And I wasn't even driving. I was on the bus. But yeah, that was... I don't know how people could do it. Applause to the St. Louis players that were traveling to Kansas City because that is it's not an easy pathway, man.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think the drive between like Dallas and Austin or Dallas and Houston is the most sexy. I mean, you definitely, if you're going to Houston, you pass through
yeah, but you get a Buc-ee's.
Neighboring towns. That's true. That's true. You do get Buc-ee's. That is fire. If you guys haven't experienced Buc-ee's at home, man, you got to come to Texas and get one. It is the cleanest, biggest, most Texan gas station you'll ever be at in your life. 100%. But I think that like, yeah, I don't know, man. Again, for one reason or another, I think the producers of Onside really tried to sell this rivalry while storytelling from some of the biggest veterans on each side. It just didn't come across as ruthless, if you will, as other rivalries that we know across this league.
Yeah, no, I was trying to find a moment in this rivalry, at least between the two clubs, to make me feel like, oh, there's a bit of a rivalry, but it actually came from the Kansas City Royals owner when he called the owner of St. Louis. Well, he said that I don't know if it's true or not, but he said like he called it like, hey, what do you want me to do with these
Oh yeah,
with with the Kansas City, Sporting Kansas City fans from St. Louis, and I'm just like, that's it. That was the moment where I was like, this sums up this rivalry is an owner of a baseball team just
yeah.
coming up with the worst dad joke humanly possible.
And it probably summarizes Sporting Kansas City all the way around, bro. For being honest, like it just, I don't know, man. Like again, not a joke, right? But like I don't know. They've been the laughing stock of MLS now for like, I don't know how many seasons in a row recently. Sure, they had that Open Cup and whatnot. And that's fucking awesome. But like outside of that, there's just not much to talk about with this side. And it's kind of reflected in the ownership a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Cavincho's already been checked out. The season just started. And he's already checked out. So
I think he disappeared. I haven't seen that dude in I don't know how long. And I don't blame him either.
yeah. So all in all, this episode was it was different. But I will say, out of all the episodes we've watched so far, this is definitely it's at the bottom of the totem pole, if that makes any sense for me at least.
Of the four, yeah, but again, I also think that like the first three were bangers. Like, and
Yeah.
it's tough, right? Like the storytelling was so unique for Ricky Puig and Galaxy versus Miami, for the Hell is Real Derby, for Kevin Sullivan, the next, Messi or the next prodigy to come out of the U.S. Like it's a pretty high bar to live up to. I think they tried to tug at the heartstrings a little bit with this one, and I think it worked. Again, if you're not in a place where you have a family yet, maybe not, maybe you felt like this was a little bit um going too far away from the soccer potentially. I mean, who knows? But I appreciated it. I someone in a different place of life now. I feel like this is something that could potentially actually bring in and relate to fans who aren't tuning into Onside just for the soccer.
No, yeah. You talked about that scene with Tim Parker. I'm having to watch his kid like through the phone, and you're right. I mean, obviously it's a sports thing, but I have no connection to sports, being that I was never once an athlete. But I will say though, sometimes when you have to make, and it's kind of similar with Tim Parker, is like you go through this career path, and unfortunately you don't know, you don't have control of where you end up, right? Like you go where you go, and you just have to say yes because you're under you're under a contract, right? And for me, I remember 18 years old, not thinking of what was gonna happen when I went and shipped out and joined the military. But for me, and at that time, my sister was pregnant with our first niece, our family's first niece. This is my mom's first grandchild, all these things. And I remember I didn't think much of it. I just know I was, gonna go do what I'm supposed to do, USMC, you signed a motherfucking contract kind of thing. And, I was gonna do my whole service thing. And I think what hit me, at least with my niece, obviously it's different from, you have your own child, but
Yeah.
um was seeing pictures of my family doing all these things with my niece, seeing her first steps, seeing her speak, seeing her interact with everything, her exploring the world through her lenses, and I'm like, I'm over here in this barracks room, uh, you know, playing Call of Duty or going to work, and you're just kind of at that point thinking like, am I? And I maybe Tim Parker maybe had that same like thing where you're like, am I doing the right thing? This is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? But it sucks when you missed out. Like, and for me, I missed my niece's first 5 years of her life. And yeah, I got home. I went. I got to go home. I got to go on leave and all that. But to her, I was a complete stranger. Like, and I mean, obviously, she's little. She doesn't. She knows that I'm just not a guy she normally sees, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was not easy. I will tell you that it is not an easy life. I don't wish that on anyone. But obviously that's what you sign up for, kind of in a way. And unfortunately especially, I think it's worse for Tim Parker, obviously because of the fact like you settle in, right? You settle into the city, you're thinking this is going to be your forever home, and then they ship you out to Boston, and you're not going to have your family move because obviously it's like what the remainder of the season why are you going to have the move, kind of thing. And I was just like, it sucks. And I mean, imagine if I actually did have have a family while I was in the service. Like, hey guys, guess what? We're going to freaking Okinawa, Japan now. Pack your bags. I know you got to go to school, but that Uncle Sam don't care, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So
I think this is the part of soccer or football or even professional sports that fans, especially fans who don't have families, which is a lot of them, right? The younger crowd don't get. They never get, right? You see it all the time in the comments on the timeline when, it looks like some high profile player decides to move back home or back to a league where that may be inferior to where they were, for personal reasons or like whatever the case may be. It's like, guys, bro, at some point, while, yeah, you want to have all the ambition in the world, while you want to, say yes to every opportunity, regardless of where it takes you, regardless of how far it takes you, at some point, man, things just become bigger than the game. And while you want to play the game as long as you possibly can, nothing trumps the family card, bro. Like it legitimately does keep you grounded in a very big way, of course, physically, but mentally. And like, I don't know. This is why, again, this is something that I didn't understand until I became a dad, is that, every decision you make from there on out just impacts everybody around you. And so, I'm telling you, bro, like when watching Tim Parker have that conversation with his wife, with his newborn son, over the phone and his son recognizing him a little bit, but like that's all you really get. It's heartbreaking, bro. Like I could not imagine a world where I had to spend, let's say, 4+ months, 5+ months in a completely different place all across the country while my kid sat there and grew up. Like I could not imagine it. And so much so that I would debate. You know how Tim Parker talks about it after the Houston stint, whether or not this is actually for him. I would kind of be on those lines, but more from the perspective of the trade. Like, this might be my last season in MLS. Like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I can't keep just being traded, not getting any say, surprised like this, surprising my family. I'm not going to uproot them. They have their own, they have a stable life here. Um, I think it would definitely cause me to start having some bigger picture conversations with myself as to reprioritize what's really important in my life.
yeah, and you mentioned that phone call. It actually reminds me of a phone call that I made. I remember I just got back to where I was stationed at North Carolina, and this is one of the times where like I'm playing with my niece, and now she's like, oh, I know who this guy is, kind of thing, and we're having fun. I'm taking her to the park like almost every day, and I remember I called I was calling my family, let them know, hey, I'm back in North Carolina, things like that, and my niece is like, oh, can I talk to to Theo, and then she's like, oh, am I gonna see you tomorrow? And I'm like, no.
Hmm.
And then I remember like me trying to put a brave face and no, Theo's gotta go back to work and serve his country, but hey, if you next year or whenever I get a chance to go on leave, we'll play again, we'll pick it up right after, and then like to hang up and just be like, fuck, it's back to this,
It's
like
rough, bro. It's rough. Like I don't wish that shit on anybody. And like it's again, it makes because you feel like a dick, right? You feel like you're choosing something over your family. That's really what
exactly.
it feels like. Because that's honestly, bro, that's how kids see it. They don't see it
Yeah.
any other way. It
Yeah,
is
they're like,
plain as
man, this
day for
guy's
them.
choosing country over
Yeah.
me. So yeah.
Yeah, and again, and for Tim, obviously it was a little bit different. Like he's legitimately, his son will probably never remember that, right? It'll never. And when by the time his son can have short term, long term memory, I'm sure Tim will be there every step of the way, but you know it, right?
Hmm.
And to top it off, you're just putting this all the responsibility, everything in terms of day to day on your partner, on your wife. And so, again, I feel like I do that enough as it is, just how busy I am with shit on a day to day basis. And so, to do that, like, again, to go through those steps, bro, it was hard. It's not like I was sitting there getting emotional while watching this, but it was hard not to empathize because I'm like, dude, I don't even know how I would begin to have that conversation with my wife. And I just got called in and said, hey, I have no choice in the matter. I'm going to be shipping out. I'm not going to be around for the next few months. That could be very pivotal months for my son, my family, my wife. And she's just going to have to make do. And we're going to try and keep communicating all along the way. Like, I don't envy anybody in that position. But at the same time, it's hard to, I think it's hard for fans to feel bad because at the end of the day, these guys are living a dream that many fans would do anything for.
True. Now, obviously, even though I ranked this pretty low, the Tim Parker element is definitely what I will say has a lot of value to this episode because I think this is one of those things where if you're an outsider gets to finally see what comes with a trade. Like not every trade is a positive thing. There's always two sides to every story when it comes to like these things. And for Tim Parker, he literally wants to stay put. He wants to be there. He wants to be part of this club. He wants to be part of its history. And I mean, technically, he is part of the history. But I mean, like this is where he wanted to settle in and live the rest of his life. Because I mean, the dude's only like 32 years old,
Yep.
and so and for the club to take that away from him, um, it's unfortunate. And then obviously for him, he's starting his family, he's starting his life. And so, like, I think that this is one of those compelling stories where the people that are like, I don't know why he's complaining. He gets to kick a ball. He gets paid to kick a ball, and it's like, yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that they don't necessarily discredit that. They realize. I'm sure everybody realizes it that day where they're like, hey, I'm getting paid to do this, kind of thing. Where like, even though the joke I made when I was in the Marine Corps, I was like, I literally get paid to take a shit. So I mean, like it's kind of like as far as obviously the military life is nothing glamorous, but obviously the athlete's life, yes, they have this life that's better, that's viewed better than most because of being paid to play a game. But at the end of the day, they're still people. They're still going to be dads. They're still going to be sons. They're still going to be, cousins, brothers, siblings, all those things. Like at the end of the day, they're still people, and they also have their attachments.
Yeah, 100%. And I will say now, right, fast forward in 2025, I mean, Parker's back in Jersey, knows the market, knows the team, knows the fan base. I'm sure found a way to kind of make it all work with his family as well. And look, bro, at the end of the day, like in these twilight years of his career, I don't think he's got any minutes yet being behind that stellar back line with the Red Bulls. So, I mean, right now, bro, I'm not saying that he doesn't want those minutes, but his life might even be a little more cush right now, as he continues to focus on, kind of raising up his family and making sure that they're settled and comfortable. So, good for him. Again, right. First of all, just going to that team, the Revs, when he got traded, like it's one thing to be traded and be like, oh shit, my whole life is kind of being uprooted. But at the same time, if you're going to a team where you're even more likely to win, going to be more competitive right off the bat, like going to be a part of like championship conversations. I mean, there's some silver lining there, right? It's like I'm going to come into a team where I can, where I'm going to be challenged and we're going to be competing for things right away. To go to the Revs, bro, like it's like fucking bad to worse. You know what I mean? Like it's just I don't know.
Yeah,
it would have felt like a huge kick in the stomach.
that would suck because you're talking about going into which I mean, let's be honest. Like if you're in a losing culture, your environment isn't great. Like
No.
the environment of the club is not going to be great. So not only do you have that, but then at the end of the day, you're coming into this empty. I don't want to say house, maybe like a townhome, I don't condo, maybe. But you're going to an empty home because why your family's back in St. Louis now, probably in Jersey. But yeah, like I think that's like there's no at least like a good escape, if you will. Like I think if you're like if somehow he would have got traded to the Galaxy, right? Like yeah, I'm away from my family, but hey, this team's really good. I might win a championship out of it, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
obviously, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it wasn't. So, like I said, there's so many scenarios that I guess could have played out. And again, St. Louis did what they felt was best for them as an organization. So, I think ultimately it's probably worked out for the best now in hindsight, knowing what we know about where Tim Parker's ended up. kind of where he is in his career. I still think that, if someone goes down in that back line for the Red Bulls, he's a pretty reliable backup to just call upon and kind of slot right in. So, and again, he's been on that team before. He knows the market, the fan base pretty well. So all in all, things might have worked out well in the end. St. Louis, of course, is in a pretty decent position to kick off 2025. We'll see how the season continues to pan out for them. But ultimately, yeah, it was definitely. I feel like watching this episode back, and I'd be curious for anybody else's perspective. I feel like St. Louis got made out to be the bad guy a little bit here, and I think it's hard not to really, really resonate with Tim. I think Tim Parker probably has more fans now than he did.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the fact that like people don't unfortunately have to understand that even though this is a game, it is a business, and this is unfortunately the business side. It's not pretty. It's not ever going to. There's no way it's ever going to be pretty when it comes to the business side. Like you're unfortunately having to look at these players not as human, not I don't want to use that word, but not as people, but like they're an asset in some sense,
Yep. Asset's the
and
perfect word.
and at the end of the day, you gotta find a way to make a return out of it, even if it means, you know, shipping out a player that you guys don't generally feel is part of your future, with someone that they hope will be.
Yeah, I agree. And again, the reality of sports, man, we see it everywhere. It's just when you get this kind of a peek behind the curtain, when you see how much he kind of meant to the fan base, and I'd be really curious to hear what St. Louis City fans think. I don't think anybody's demonizing their organization by any means, but I can imagine more than a few of those fans being somewhat upset with the transfer, with the trade, somewhat upset that Parker wasn't going to be representing St. Louis anymore. But it is I won't call it unfortunate. It is just simply the reality of sports. And, Tim, it's not the first time he's had to deal with this in his career. So at least he's seasoned from that perspective. But yeah, man, it's tough. There's no way around that.
Yeah, exactly. But that is episode 4 of MLS Onside. A little bit of a downer one, but not all of them are gonna be all uplifting and all that. Like, I mean, when it comes to contract negotiations, I mean, it's not always gonna be positive. So,
Yeah, no, for sure. And the next one might be a little more uplifting. I think I love a good underdog story. And so Malachi Jones, I'm really, really curious to hear more about that one in the next episode. So we'll find out, man. But yeah, I think the producers are kind of bringing us down to build us back up. I think we had too much hype in the first three, or too many storylines to get really excited about. Not that these weren't, but again, I think it was just telling the story of some prominent veterans and why they're here, why they're representing the clubs that they do at this point of their careers. And now I think someone young, exciting, promising, who equally has a backstory that we're not all aware of, is probably the route they go with the Malachi story. And I'm actually interested to see how everybody feels about that one.
yeah, no, it's good, right? I'm sure MLS Onside they were like, "Hey, Hector's getting a little too excited about Caven's mom. We need to calm him down a little bit. Here's a grown man's ass." So,
Yeah, we'll see, bro. We'll see. I mean, sex sells, like I said, sex sells. But yeah, man, I don't know. NYCFC, I think just even peeling the layers back on that fucking club, on that team, will be very interesting.
yeah, especially because like I'm gonna be intrigued just because of like the whole how their season kind of went. Like, were they good? Were they not good? Cushing
Last
in,
last couple
cushing out.
seasons, yeah, last couple seasons, bro. To be honest, I
Like
don't know, man. That fan base is so torn.
you really have no idea what the pulse is with NYCFC, and it's just it's interesting. So I can't wait to see the behind the scenes stuff that they feature. Who gets interviewed? Do we see Cushing? So like
I
uh
kind of hope we do. I kind of hope we
I,
do. I gotta
I,
I
I
gotta
also
hear that man talk.
yeah, for sure. But thank you, Jose, for coming on, man. Like I said, man, I wouldn't have imagined anybody else that would have been more perfect to do this series with. But here's your time, man. Tell us what's going on at goals.
Yeah, bro. As always, man, the series is super fun for me, Hector. Guys, only thing I'll plug here is just the latest episode of Unleashed is live with Eric Winalda, both on Goals TV and on our YouTube channel. So go check that out. Let us know what you think. We're trying a lot of different topics right now. If you guys haven't seen it on YouTube or on Goals TV, just go check it out. Give us some feedback in the comments, whatever it may be. Eric is being an unusually unhinged version of himself lately, the best way possible. I love working with him. So if you guys have any thoughts, any comments, any feedback regarding his topics of discussion, his rants, his banter, whatever it may be, let us know, man. This show is going to be a long-term series that we're going to continue to be excited about. We're going to start bringing guests on very, very soon as well. So any way that we can make that show better and more of what fans want to continue to tune into week in and week out, we will take all the feedback. And pretty soon, he's actually going to be calling a lot of fans out directly in these videos, throwing up comments, answering them directly on the show. So this is a chance to get your visibility, get your voice heard. So if you haven't watched the show yet, again, head to Goals TV on YouTube or head to GOLZ.TV. Check it out. Let us know what you think. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's been a good series. I just saw the new episode. I loved it. I love that little interaction he had from the U.S. Open Cup game. I thought it was
oh man, it actually
really
pissed me off watching it actually.
Really good anecdote. Reminds me of the story that I had that I almost fought Flamingo. So
yeah, it's if you guys don't know what we're talking about, man, I'm telling you, go watch it. Go tune in. His story regarding his time coaching an NASL team through the Open Cup up into the semifinals and everything MLS did to try and stop that run is man, it'll in the best way. It's great content, but it'll infuriate you at the same time, especially if you're an advocate for the Open Cup or for American soccer embracing an open system. So go check that out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to go ahead and segue right into Players of the Week. So get ready for that.
Fight and win!
Thank you so much, Jose, for coming on to talk about episode 4 of MLS Onside. If you guys haven't, go check out this series. The series is really fun, especially if you're trying to get into the storylines with the MLS. Obviously, this is all last year's storylines, but it's really cool. It's really interesting on all this that's going on. So especially if you really were a fan of Drive to Survive, this is essentially what this is all for. So go ahead and check that out, man. All right. Players of the Week is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing ticketing app, ticketing site, wherever you get tickets for live events like theater shows, comedies, concerts, and of course, sporting events. Me and Edward, we use SeatGeek plenty of times in our life, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. That's how we got to go see Tigres versus Inter Miami. Obviously, his show weren't necessarily too fun because obviously there was no Messi, but we still enjoyed the seats nonetheless. So we like it. SeatGeek is a very simple app. It really just is pretty simple as it goes. It has a very easy grading system using numbers and colors. If it is really green, that means the score is going to be very high, meaning these seats are great. But this price, this view, you're going to enjoy your event. Go ahead and buy these tickets. Now, if it's really low and super red, that means these tickets suck for the price that this person's trying to sell them for. Keep looking. You're going to find a better deal. We love the simplicity of SeatGeek, and we love it so much that we use it, like I said, for almost everything when it comes to live events. And if you guys aren't sold just yet, if you are a first-time user of SeatGeek, use the code BellyUpSports and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. So once again, use that code BellyUpSports for your first purchase at SeatGeek, and it'll take $20 off that purchase for you. SeatGeek Life's an event, and we have the tickets. My player of the week is Kylian Mbappe, who scored 2 goals in Real Madrid's 2-1 victory against Villarreal. And Edwards' player of the week is Ferran Torres, who scored 2 goals in Barcelona's 4-2 victory against Atletico Madrid. And with that being said, obviously, Edward and I are now tied in the jersey bet race, 10 points apiece with me and Edward. Spencer is unfortunately at the bottom of the table. There's 2 matches left in the jersey bet. Manchester City versus the Manchester Derby and El Clásico. Those are the last 2 matches left for the jersey bet. And obviously, one is going to be very impactful versus me and Edward, and one that I really have no say, but I will be pulling for Manchester City if that is the case. But yes, congratulations to Kylian Mbappe and Ferran Torres for being our players of the week. Once again, guys, use that. Go to SeatGeek. If it's your first time purchasing at SeatGeek, use that code BellyUpSports. You'll save $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. Thank you so much, and congratulations again to Kylian Mbappe and Ferran Torres for being our players of the week. All right, guys, we do have some games to watch this weekend. Outside of international break, MLS is still going on. because MLS doesn't care about the international break. But we do have a big matchup: Austin FC taking on San Diego FC. This will be the Sunday night soccer matchup for MLS. So I think it'll be a really good one. Austin FC coming off of a big win against LAFC. I'm not entirely sure how the San Diego result went. I think they won their game. I don't know. But yeah, it should be a good matchup there. For the international break, we're going to talk about matches that are happening on Thursday. We got USA versus Panama and Canada versus Mexico. Obviously, the matchup for the CONCACAF Nations League semifinals. So it should be some really good matchups there. We also have Brazil versus Colombia, a really, really good matchup for CONMEBOL and World Cup qualifiers. We got Armenia versus Georgia, Turkey versus Hungary, Austria versus Serbia, Croatia versus France, Greece versus Scotland, Italy versus Germany, Netherlands versus Spain, Ukraine versus Belgium, Denmark versus Portugal, which are happening Thursday, the first leg, and then the second leg will be on Sunday. So I'm not going to say those matchups again for Sunday, but just know that their second legs will be on Sunday as well. On Friday, we got Uruguay versus Argentina, England versus Albania, and Burundi versus Ivory Coast, two teams in Africa that are doing very well so far in their qualifiers, or it could be, I think it's either AFCON qualifiers or it's actually World Cup qualifiers. I'm not entirely sure. I did not really look into that deeply. Saturday, we got Sudan versus Senegal, two teams also once again doing fairly well in their qualifiers. Sunday, it is the CONCACAF Nations League final. Will USA be in there? Will it be Mexico? Will it be Canada? Or could Panama sneak in as well? We'll find out there. Dang it. And of course, like I said, the second leg of the matches the European matches that I mentioned earlier are also happening also on Sunday. So yeah, a lot of juicy matchups. Obviously, because it is an international break, that means next episode we will not have players of the week because obviously we're not going to count international play. So there is that for you guys. But yeah, it's not all the matches that are happening this weekend, but if you guys need a good beginner's guide, I think we gave you some really good matches to look forward to. So we're going to take a break and then wrap this show up in a pretty little bow for you.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys. I want to thank, obviously, Edward for, obviously taking the time, being able to be available after, kind of a little break for him because just scheduling reasons, nothing really having to do with him, mainly more on my part. But it's great to have Edward back on. So go ahead. Remember, Edward is going to be on for every other episode. So be on the lookout. Be aware about that, what's happening there. Also, thank you, Jose, for coming on and talking MLS Onside, man. Make sure you guys check out Goals TV. It is a great website. Follow them on Instagram and the X follow them on Instagram at golz.tv, goals.tv on Instagram, and on the X at goals_TV, golz_TV. So you know what's going on over there at Goals. Check out their website as well, goals.tv, man. Go and it's free to subscribe, man. Go ahead and check it out. A lot of cool stuff, man. Obviously, their big show right now that they have going on is Unleashed with Eric Winalda, U.S. soccer star Eric Winalda, former U.S. men's national team player, who is just letting it rip now, man. So go and check that out. Also, check out bellyupsports.com, man. Lots of great articles that are constantly written over there. Obviously, MLB season's coming on. March Madness is happening. So much to talk about. NFL draft. I mean, if you guys want to know about American sports, of course, also, there is some soccer articles written as well. Check them out, bellyupsports.com. Also, follow them on Instagram and X at bellyupsports. As simple as it is. Belly Up Sports. Check them out, man. And, of course, shout out to Roosevelt Spencer. We love him so much, man. He does our beats for the intros and outros. He takes really good care of us. We love him so much that we named our Player of the Year award after him. And we just love everything that Spencer does for us. So we're very appreciative. If you guys need some beat work done, whether you're a podcaster, whether you're a YouTuber, or you're a musical artist yourself, well, follow him on Instagram at that guy dope. Once again, at that guy dope, and let him know you need some beats done, and he will take great care of you like he always does with us. So, with all that being said, man, thank you so much for listening to episode 210. Catch us next week for episode 211. Take care, guys.